It's Super Cheese Week! And we continue on with the Sim Science Grand Prix at Road America for round 7 of the Majors Championship. Last year, this event was a GT3 only wildcard for the Americas region, but this year every region is running, and we're also adding the GTP class to make it an IMSA themed affair. Personally, I was hoping for the LMP2s to be joining as well, but they kind of washed away last night in the Majors Endurance Championship Split 2 Typhoon, so here we are. The other big change we're doing this week is we're going to be doing race day qualifying. At the top of the hour, we will roll into queue, and you will have 15 minutes to spend 4 laps as you please. This also means that you are not logged into any particular class per race that you enter. Take that information how you will. After qualifying is over, we will immediately go into the race session. The race will be timed to 2 hours and 40 minutes, and we would like to see at least a 5-second gap between the GTP and GT3 classes on the pace lap. Lastly, there may be full course cautions during the race. This will be predetermined by race control ahead of time, and there could be no cautions, 1 caution, or up to 2 cautions thrown throughout the race. These cautions will be paced by Fred, Flawless Wheelman. During these caution periods, make sure you have your in-car radio tuned to the race control channel for further instructions. For restarts after these periods, the restart zone will be after the final turn, from the end of the right-hand curb to the end of the left-hand curb. It is recommended that the control car, the one that's closest to Fred, fall away by several seconds in order to utilize the zone. Race control will clear any black flags that may occur during this process, so don't be afraid to speak up and appeal these if you receive them on the restart. And finally, the usual spiel about protests. If you need something looked at during the race, call out your car number and the lap that you want reviewed. Once race control acknowledges that request, they will initiate a review and get back to you with the results. Keep an ear out on the race control channel for these results and follow their instructions as prescribed. Well, let's see. That's all past Kinch has for you right now. If there's nothing else that future Kinch needs to add, or potentially future Garrett or future Mike, without further ado, the track is now open for the last few minutes of practice and qualifying. Good luck, have fun, drive fast.
Hey, race fans, welcome to the international split of the Majors regional 2 hours and 40 minutes of Road America. This is Trevor Gigola in the booth. We got Austin on color commentary today and Mike Taylor on producing today, but excited to have you all here today. Us typical Americans doing this overnight so we can watch some of the best international drivers overseas, take on one of our crown jewels in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin here. Excited to have this event today. We got pretty good weather, air temp 24 degrees with track temp 42 degrees. Could be a little hot, could have a little bit extra tire wear today. We will see how this rolls here, and per usual with Majors rules, you're going to have one fast repair and unlimited tire sets. Austin, excited to have you do this. This will be our first time working together in the booth. Excited to see how this goes.
Me too. I had a good time calling 2 stints for the 12 hours. I also called split number 4 for the last 6 hours of the 24 last month. Really enjoy this opportunity to call endurance racing. I've been a student of racing. My dad built hill climbers down at Pikes Peak area in the 70s, so racing's been bred into the cradle. I did some shifter karting during my time in Denver. So it's one of these deals where this is a way to contribute to the sport in a fashion that makes it accessible to people that otherwise may not have an opportunity to do it. So I treat it as legit because it is legit.
Absolutely, and same way here. I don't get as much time out on the tracks as I used to. 2 young children will keep me away from that, but having something like sim racing as accessible as possible is something I will appreciate, more than ever here. Being able to live out your dreams, as silly as it can sound sometimes, racing on some of the world's greatest tracks, something that's irreplaceable in my opinion. Where you're all hopping in here is seeing the beginning here of qualifying. We have a 15-minute session here, or until they have all finished up their laps. Everyone will be shooting for the GTP pole or the GT3 pole here. We will have a proper class split here as well, so you will see the classes stick together here.
Excellent, love it. Here's I'm resizing my window to maximize everything here. So I want to make it a point that anyone that's watching us on YouTube this evening, feel free to jump in the chat. We have that up and available. We love the interaction with our fans, the people that are watching the race as it goes on. So be sure. I see we've got Sunshine X146 has said, let's go racing. Absolutely, that's what we're here for. We're looking forward to doing this for you. Presently, yeah, qualifications going on. You said that everyone has to take hot laps?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as much as this is an endurance race, the number one strategy, in my opinion, on qualifying up front is you got less cars to run through on any first lap chaos here. The flow of disaster in turn 1 and turn 2 in Road America is plentiful. It's not quite Monza turn 1, but it's definitely not the widest track you'll see on the exit of turn 1.
For sure. Well, 2 hours and 40 minutes is a sweet spot in terms of endurance racing, because it's long enough to require some serious strategy thought, but not so long that you can afford to wait on anything or recover from a bad strategy call. That's when you'll see a lot of people that might try something to go off sequence if they had a problem. They might try short filling or running a longer stint, any number of different factors that happen. So that track position will dictate a lot of what an individual team or an individual driver's strategy is going to look like.
Absolutely. And as somebody that is properly exposed to the IMSA way of life, with the 2 hour and 40 minute races being the norm here, when there's not a longer endurance race, I found that to be the sweet spot too. Perfect amount of attention span. You could sit in, lock in, understand the whole endurance race strategy, have a 2-stop or a 3-stop strategy running for some of the cars here, especially the GT3s, and then have the way the race will slowly develop is something that you can't always see in a 24-hour, 6-hour race. With the length of it, you don't always notice where the strategy is happening. Right now, we are catching up with Robert Henry here, running the Mercedes AMG in the 5 car here. Excited to see, this whole lap develop here, and genuinely one of my favorite tracks here on the service and in real life here, just across Lake Michigan from me here. This is definitely a challenging one, with a lot of what you'll see here being the elevation changes and the off-camber, on-camber corners. Grip levels just genuinely change. It feels like at a moment's notice. And you will see very few forgiving, easy corners here. Everything has a little bit of a unique flow to it. When it's coming into turn 2 here, hugging that inside curb is extremely valuable. And then being able to slide out to the exit curb there is going to be the only thing that gives you a good run down the line here. Now, as it gets into the kink in the first kink and then turn 3, it's been one of the hardest left-handers here. Switch over to Brad. With this braking zone, you're looking at something that's going to be coming up front of crest and then going down into a dip as you come down here. What you're seeing then is another huge, strange elevation change going into turn 5 there, and then going into the short kink here in turn 6. Then we're going to have the hard left-hander before the carousel. Now, this carousel is, somewhat reminds me of the Nürburgring. It's a right-hander instead of a left-hander, but you have that big, long, sweeping corner that you spend a little too much time, like quarter throttle on, before you reach out on exit here. This kink is the most important corner on the track for a GTP to be passing a GT3 beforehand. If a GTP gets stuck there, that's one of the biggest straightaways on the track where they are sacrificing a ton of speed. So if you don't have a run going into the Canada corner here and then through the S's, you're stuck behind this GT3 in most cases. You'll see coming up in the left-hander here, all the weight comes off the car before swinging into the right-hander, where you finally have the grip you've been praying for, with the correct camber and elevation change to go up on the final run up the hill and up north.
That is a severe hill to run up, which is why turn 1 is so important. I think back to, I'm a dinosaur. We were having a good time calling me a dinosaur earlier in the 12 hours race yesterday. One of the things that I remember was about 1992, watching Dan Gurney's All-American Eagles when they came out and absolutely decimated the field. Was watching Juan Manuel Fangio just scream down into that first corner and be able to hold the line. So one of the cool things about this track that I really think is that track diagram doesn't do it justice. Yes, there's some tight corners, and definitely the 4, 5, 6, 7 complex is heavily technical, but it doesn't show the elevation changes. This track undulates quite an awful lot, which, as you were saying, changes the balance of the car and changes the amount of grip. So over the course of 2.5 hours, we're looking at almost certainly a 2-stop race for most teams. It'll be very interesting to see how they handle their setups and what they need to change and what they need to adapt to during our course of our race.
Yeah, and just driving around this place, if you've never done it, you're looking at something that seems like a normal braking zone coming into turn 3 there, where it feels like just a hard left-hander. But when you first start the braking, all of the weight starts to come off the car at the beginning of the crest of the hill before it gets down to do a huge compression. All the weight you push down on the tires, and all of a sudden you have a ton of grip. You can almost maximize your brake power without any risk of locking up. The changes there is something that's hard to explain to somebody that hasn't spent a lot of time on the track here.
Yep, even in virtual racing, there's nothing that can replace seat time. So hopefully our audience appreciates what these guys do to put in put in the hours of setting up their cars and setting up their attack plan for the race.
For sure. Now, when it comes to the way Majors is structured, have you ever done any racing with Majors, Austin?
I have not. I started commentating with them for the 24, so they threw me right into stint 4 last split 4 last month. I really enjoyed it. I haven't really done any serious driving in the sim community in the last 10, 15, 10, 12 years probably. I was around when iRacing really started to take center stage, but at the time there were things in life that precluded me from purchasing a computer that kept up with the specs necessary for it. That said, I go clear back to the old Papyrus IndyCar racing games. So it's been a long time since the DOS days.
Absolutely. No, I feel that. And as much as my daughter likes to call me old, I'm only 30, but all the old Papyrus games are what I grew up on. Smashing the left and right key without a wheel in my parents' house. Good times, absolutely, but always appreciated seeing everybody else's setups online. Now, because this is a full season here with the international division of majors, you're working on so many different races into this, whether it's rallycross or super speedway racing at Daytona, the Indy 500, so many different races and disciplines that these guys got to go through. Where, although I grew up on NASCAR, I also grew up on IMSA. This is more of my forte. This is where I spend most of my time. As we see Adam Johnson locking up and sliding right into the gravel. Thank God the gravel and iRacing isn't going to keep you there too much. To get through the point standings here, we still have, Owan Baker with, more wins than expected. If I'm reading here correctly, he's looking to have 4 wins already, but still only a 30-point lead over Ben Daughtry. So, Owen Baker and Ben Daughtry are 1-2 in the standings here. It's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. And if we slide on over to the silver class, which will include mostly GT3 drivers based on what I'm seeing here, we're going to have Paul McKenzie leading, pretty substantially here, 718 over Brad Wiggins, 699 points. And then if we slide over to sports bronze, which will only include 4 drivers, Matt Town will have 640 points, where Matt Chalkler has 596 points. Very interesting way the points have shaken out to this point in the season. I've had the pleasure of this, I believe, being my 3rd race announcing these guys. And I can't wait to get a few more names wrong from the Kiwis, as they always are very quick and clear to point out in Discord after the race. I take it well. No worries to those that do send those messages. I don't stay up and cry all night. Absolutely. I mean, they say I'm different over there, But the this race is looking ready to get started in about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. As the iRacing 6 hours of Road America, the official, is next week. Austin, you might want to speak to the differences in something like doing a private league like this versus the iRacing official races that are out there.
Well, one of the things that I think is important to remember is that the majors run their own rules package. They run their own understanding of how the racing is going to be done, even though they use plenty of the iRacing tools. I think that one of the coolest things about the majors is that their officiating is independent of iRacing, and so if you lodge a protest, it will be reviewed by the majors rather than strictly done by the computers. So looks like we got Michael Hogg on track right now in the 744. I can't quite read. Baby Metal Broadcast Racing. I like that name. It's Motley Crue in diapers. So not a cult racing. Excellent.
Yeah, I don't know how their cults work over there, but ours over here wouldn't name after a baby usually. Right.
So yeah, I really appreciate what we're doing in terms of offering an opportunity independent of iRacing. Even though we use their platform, one of the things that's really cool is, like I say, um, the majors handles any kind of rules, infractions, and any kind of protests and whatnot. And if anyone's curious about that process, they can look on the Discord and see how things were handled last month regarding the 24.
Yeah, no, the 24, some of the most fun in that race was sitting there watching the protest feed just roll and roll and roll. I can't emphasize enough how fun it was to be able to have the access just from the commentary booth, but also, from a fan perspective, being able to sneak in there if they'd like. The feed of those protests is a lot to manage, but the main goal is to make sure what's being fed in there is managed very quickly. I will default here to Mike. Do you know if we will have live protests here, or is it going to be mostly protests post race today?
No, we will have live protests today. We do have a blue Carl up in race control along with Enrico Mueller, as they will go ahead and call all the hard shots as the drivers do file a protest. And as we do get those protests in, I will be putting out, little tad bits here and there when we know exactly what is going to happen. So you guys just be on the lookout for that as well. And I'll pipe in a little bit and say when there is a protest that is being put into play and that penalty has been assigned.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Look forward to it.
No, that's paramount to understanding the picture of the race. Why guys are coming down pit road with no warning, it seems like sometimes. But we are getting ready and gridded up here. All the drivers are getting ready and getting the ignitions all warmed up, getting the pedal legs all warmed up. With this being a single driver race for most here, actually. There's no team entries here, right? Everybody's gonna have to go in as a solo. Yes. Wasn't 100% sure. Needed to make sure we were all solo, and I didn't miss one. But yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna run through the starting grid. I will start with the GTPs here, and let Austin close it out with the GT3s. So. Getting started with the starting grid, we're going to see Juan Baker and Thomas Hins here in the front row, followed by Cameron Dance, one of my favorites from the Intimidator 500, and Matthew Pluck lining up on the outside here in P4. Now, Ben Dotry and Hayden Kirk are going to be P5 and P6, with Stuart Elder and Wayne Hutchinson in row 4 here today. We'll have Dean Mole and Adam Johnson rolling in the 5th row. Followed by Jason Lottridge and Clint Day to round out the GTPs here. In row 7, we'll have Dylan Jordan and Dan Stevens. And we got Robert Henry in P15 and Robert Northway in P16. Yeah, you guys.
Sorry, that's my mistake. I'm sorry about that. I was looking at our weather and track info. So row 9 is going to be Robbie Bradbury with Gav Barker on the outside. Row 10 is Gavin Cox with Heath Mannering on the outside lane. P21 is Paul McKenzie and P22 is Cam James. Row 12 is Brad Wiggins with Wayne Taylor 3 on the outside. Ryan Steele and Martin Waugh will be in row 13. Phil Otto and Ray Partridge will be on row 14. Jake Fox and Craig R. Tilson round out row 15. Matt Chalker and Michael Hogg will be in row 16. Row 17 is Matt Town as our final entry for the day. Just briefly, we'll give our fans a rundown of what we're looking at in terms of the track dynamic. We do have dynamic weather, so rain is possible. Track state is at 0%, so it'll carry over from qualification to the race. And we are ready to look at a green flag here. It was emphasized when I looked at the information on the major's website earlier that rain is a possibility and full course yellows are a possibility.
For sure. And, full course yellows being a possibility is my favorite difference maker in the major series compared to the iRacing standard series that we have. Main reason being the impossibility to properly implement that so far in iRacing. I know it's being worked on without some sort of intervention from a human being to not kill the flow of the race is one of the things that majors does right, in my opinion. They will, usually randomize how they're going to sort out the full course yellows if it's not related to a massive crash. You won't see a lot of these guys, deliberately binning it, which could trigger an automatic iRacing caution. We just won't have those here. It's all going to be manually pressed and manually done from the team. And that's the thing that endurance racing is missing in the official series right now, in my opinion. This is the biggest difference maker of what is being handled by the iRacing toolbox that we have available here for the hosted sessions.
Taking a look at the chat, we were being educated that Baby Metal is a Japanese girl band that plays an interesting mix of J-pop and metal. And then Mike H744 put up the hashtag not a cult. So thank you, Dom5283, for telling us what Baby Metal is. That all. Hey, the more you learn.
Yeah, like I said, I learn something new about these guys every time I see them out on track or get a message in Discord about them as we're lining up for the green flag up in the air, and we are going up the slow hill and on our way as Ewan Baker controls the start as the new leader, has taken off and will lead the GTPs into turn one. You'll see the split start here to keep everybody out of carnage as we see Ewan Baker and Thomas holding up P2 here side by side. And the GT3 is coming out for the start as well. Looks like Craig has taken a bit of a lead here, or Dylan has taken quite a bit of a lead here as Robert Henry follows him here into turn one. Everyone behaved themselves on the start, which can't be said for every iRacing session I've been in, but more than happy to see it here as we have one remaining hit road start here for Michael Hogg. You know if that might have been a pre-race penalty that I'm missing here? Adam Johnson looks to have had an incident here in the GTPs, and he had gone off and, not too much damage or anything, just a quick spin, quick turn. It's a long race, so hopefully, you can make some of that ground up that he lost here.
An unfortunate way to start your first lap, though. Puts you behind all the traffic, puts you at the back end of the field, makes for a long afternoon for a 2-hour and 40-minute race. Going to have
it's not how it's not how you want to see it go early on, but the most important part is time on track.
Absolutely. Taking a look at Matthew Pluck right here, watching as he goes through smoothly in the corner. See these guys making use of every inch of that runoff area, and that's because right now with the sun beating down on that tarmac, it's going to be very slick, very grippy. So we're gonna have them, really making use of every inch of track. One of the things that Road America really, really rewards is consistency. The drivers that hit their marks consistently sometimes don't even really need to do a lot of. As we take a look at Matthew Pluck right here, wonder if he had some help. It looks like he got turned around coming out of the the outside of that particular turn.
Yeah,
And
you're
we
seeing
parked right in the middle.
Yeah, Matthew Northway in the Mustang GT3 as well, with second wheel over some of the grass here. I'm not seeing any help or assistance at the moment when looking at it on a review, but
Robert
I am
Northway.
going to take my own. Yeah, Robert Northway. I'm going to take my quick time here as well, trying to take a peek. Yeah, it looks like just went over the curb just a little too much into the grass on the inside of the kink and just lost control, but no big contacts. Honestly, an incredible save for Robert there.
Yep, just overcooked it coming out.
Absolutely.
But even in ideal conditions like this, where the track is warm and whatnot, a lot of these guys going to be working on dialing in the proper tire pressure, the proper braking points, all of the things that go into creating the handling of a car, particularly with these GT3 cars that rely heavily on drivers adjusting their brake bias, adjusting their weight jackers and different things on the inside, ABS and traction control, other driver aids that the drivers can make use of.
100%. As we're seeing the field spread out here, this will be one of the most important times to make up a little extra time in clean air. As after this, you're likely looking at being stuck in some sort of form of traffic for the remainder of this race. If we flow into P1, 2, and 3 in GT3, maybe focusing on the 3 or the 5 car here, that's going to be our closest battle on track right now, where we have any sort of impact or pass happen that could be possibly happening here. As they make the run into the final speed up mine a little bit into the final turn here, and they're going up the hill. Everyone is looking for a little bit of slipstream here, as the KSR cars up front are drafted off of each other. But what's interesting here is you'll see guys like Dylan Jordan and Robert Henry. They, a 6,000 and 5,100 iRating, back and forth. In an iRacing official session, Dan Stevens here behind them with an 1,800 iRating would never see the same split as them on any normal night on iRacing. What you're seeing here, though, is Dan doesn't care about iRating. His skill is based on just pure pace, and he does a lot of his racing, it looks likely in these leagues and such, where he can spend his time honing his craft without worrying about iRating at all, and work with some of the cleanest drivers on the service.
I think it's that democratization that when I started actually learning about what the majors offers, that really made me want to work with them, because of the fact that it's open to all racers at most of the events. And iRating ceilings are sometimes necessary and sometimes helpful, but I think the majors has since they've been around for so many years, has really dialed in what they do to keep the fields even, keep things in a situation where they don't have to have ceilings or even caps, because I see a lot of leagues out there that have caps as well. If you want realistic racing, the majors is a great place to go to, because it does reward people that do the due diligence to study the craft and do it well.
Absolutely. As we see Paul McKenzie diving up the inside here of Gavin Cox, taking over right before the section, I believe before turn 7 or 8 here. Or actually, no, right before the S is coming up on the front straight here. Now, I am seeing that P1 and P2 and the GTs have overtaken one of the GTPs here. That was formerly P3. Trying to figure out what happened there as well on my end, as that's a bit of an odd situation to see. Might just be an overlay glitch. I don't see anything happening. No, it was an overlay glitch. That's on me, on my end. The highlighted colors threw me off. So This battle for P17 and GT3 is where we probably should be focused, as it looks like Heath and Gavin are going side by side, and Gavin's dropping like a rock here. The Porsche of Heath Mannering has taken the position from Gavin into the corner, and he's looking to fall to the clutches of Cam James here behind. I love seeing a mix of different brands here in the GT3 class as well as the GTP class. It feels like an iRacing official, you're going to have one party of one car across the board. We're able to see a little bit of tweaked BOP and a little bit of tweaked fields, so that we can control the manufacturer spread and have a really good look across the board.
I think it's an excellent balance of being able to decide which manufacturer you want to go with and set up your car the way you can, while it still has the parity to provide good racing and opportunities for drivers that otherwise, in the official iRating side of things, or with leagues that run things a little less democratically in terms of what your iRating is. These guys get a chance that they might not otherwise have, and that's really cool to see. I can think of, while I was shopping myself around last fall, I looked at a lot of leagues where essentially they're glorified clubs, and they didn't want me to commentate unless I drove for them, and listening to their commentary was like listening to a popularity contest, unfortunately. So the democratization of the racing here for the majors is really impressive to see. Taking a look at Heath Mannering right here, who's in pursuit right now, or is being pursued right now by where are we at here? He's in 18th, so he's being by Gavin Cox in the 555 machine.
For sure. And that's, like we had mentioned a few times here, it's just the only way to look at it here is how majors just run by a bunch of professionals. It feels like there's not that the league admin is the one that doesn't get a penalty scenario. You'll see with a lot of the leagues out there. I know, not to bring the most popular streamer into this, but Jimmy Broadbent's done a bunch of, in his Sim Racing Stewards videos, he'll pull someone up where it'll say league admin said that I'm getting a race ban for this, when it was clearly the incident with one of the best friends or with the league admin. Here, everything with majors, as much as I've been involved running the majors 24 and a few other small events, I'm not a full-time majors driver. I got 2 young kids. Being able to do this is a lot less prep, just a little bit of reading beforehand. The way you're treated here is you're treated as a human being, and everybody I've spoken with here and every single person I've interacted with, it's just been a joy. They have, a no a-holes rule, it seems like, in majors naturally. When you surround yourself with the right people, it becomes a real community effort, and not what feels like Austin said, a popularity contest.
So while we don't have a lot of off-track Ray Partridges there, while we don't have a heck of a lot of on-track action right now, kind of expound upon fuel strategy for a moment. So typically with the GT3 and the GTP and the GT3 classes, we're going to see a fuel window at about the 45 to 55 minute window. You talk about fuel strategy. These drivers don't have the luxury of fuel mapping the way their real world counterparts would. You won't hear me talking. I tried that earlier. Let's take a look here. Adam Johnson in the 29.
Little wheel on the grass situation, and lock it up and get that dirty wheel, and you can't slow the car down anymore. Thank God for that gravel.
Like sliding on ice. Anyway, these drivers don't have the luxury of switching dynamic engine maps or on the sim environment like a real world counterpart would, but I would emphasize that the macro game is exactly the same. In iRacing, fuel saving is like it's a driver input discipline. It's all down to the right foot. You can I think the way to put it would be you'd want a short shift and execute your lift and coast if you want to go long. One of the things that we may see happening with both pit stops is guys trying to run a little long and try an undercut or an overcut by coming in earlier, getting fresh rubber and fresh a full tank of fuel.
For sure. And I've been keeping an eye out here. If we look at our overall leader in the 34, Juan Baker, maybe do an in-car cam with him so we can understand not only where your opportunities are to fuel save, but what it looks like going through traffic as Mike gets a hold of the camera controls here. Right now, Juan is about halfway through the GT3 traffic here in the lead. He is going to be going up the hill. Let's take a lap around Road America with him as he catches up to this field. So let's see what it looks like in seat in his Cadillac GTP here as he comes up on this GT3 ahead, dives to the right, flows one more and swings back left, going through turn one. So many opportunities here to save. Especially if you come up on a group of GTP or GT3s, you'll have an opportunity to slow up a little bit. Right here, going to the left as all the GT3s politely behave on the right is what you would hope for. But having to break off of the racing line here is always quite difficult for a car without ABS. It's something you have to force the dive. You can't just sit there and hope that you're going to have an opportunity to sneak by as he swings out right and catches up to one of these wonderful Mercedes AMGs. For the rest of the race, these guys are going to be spending half their time in the GTPs off the racing line, trying to swing left, swing right, put their car where it's going to cost them the least amount of time, and find ways. If you're going to be stuck behind a GT3 at the apex of a corner, it is the best time to lift and coast. And if you get enough of those combined, saving a lap or two here is like saving a century. It's such a huge difference when it all adds up at the end. As he swings right post kink, and we'll try to see if he can sneak by in Canada corner, but he cannot. He is going to be stuck behind the 35 here of Robert Bradbury right before going into the S's. Luckily, he's able to make a move and swing to the outside of that corner. Coming up on the final turn, he will go uphill and try to hopefully get by the 3 here at Dan Stevens before he has to, make the run up into turn 1.
A very visceral opportunity to see the closing rate of the prototype on top of the GT3 class right there. That's really where you'll see a lot of that is in Moraine Corner down to turn 5. It's a very critical multi-class zone on the track. GTPs, and if we had an LMP2 class, which we do not today, they scream down the moraine straight and dive bomb into the GT3s under braking into turn 5. Of course, that's downhill, shifts all the way to the car to the forward side. And one of the things that we saw during the 12 hours was a lot of people that lost the back end of the car doing just that because of the fact that it snaps around on you because everything's pushing onto the front tires at that point. So you're turning harder than you would have at the previous corner at turn 4.
Yep, that's at the end of the day, like you mentioned, a multi-class corner, a multi-class zone. Tracks like this where they're a little more raw, I guess I would say, with the grass on the left and the right, are some of the most fun multi-class racetracks. America's got a bunch of them, but there's a bunch all over the world because we're not worried as much about track limits. We're not worried as much about the slowdown penalties. If you cut through the grass on the left or the right while slipping through multi-class traffic, it's kind of punishing yourself. We'll put it that way.
Well, I think that, anytime you do that, the penalty really comes from the physics of the tires. There's 2 types of grip in any kind of racing surface. There's aerodynamic grip and there's racing surface, racing league. There's aerodynamic grip and then there's mechanical grip, which is how the tires adhere to the racing surface. And if you're out in the grass, you're picking up dirt, you're picking up grass, you're picking up things that cause your tires not to have as good of a patch on the racing surface, which takes away your grip. So while it may seem like a shortcut, it honestly makes your car harder to handle.
Absolutely. And now I'm getting in here. If we look at P7 of the GTPs here, being Stuart Elder. As we slide in our Dean, even is fine. He's now in the heat of the traffic trying to keep up. Yeah, Stuart here going into turn 1 behind a group of 2 GT3s. There is no good, safe way to try to dive in here, so you just have to wait for them to sort themselves out so you can sneak by on a wider straightaway here. He looks like the 60 was trying to protect his line a little bit, make sure he's not compromised going into the corner, as Stewart has to even scoot more over to the right. Usually something like that's going to cost them both a little bit of time. If you are getting overtaken by a GTP with the closing rates that these guys have, you know, everyone's telling you to ride the racing line, and that's definitely fine and all, but you know, you don't want to be sitting here defending your line if they are definitely going to be passing you, because at the end of the day, it compromises both your corners. And as an LMP2 enjoyer and former GTE enjoyer, as Austin was dating himself, I'll do the same. The years and years of racing GTE and the IMSA class here, and having to decide, am I going to tell the LMP1 or tell the Daytona prototype behind me that, hey, you're not passing here? If I'm going into the kink and Stewart is a few car lengths behind me, I'm making sure he's well aware he's not going by until we get to the next half of that straightaway.
Whoa, and
as he cuts through the grass post kink. Jeez, that was.
You bring that up. And one of the things that I think is important to remember, you know, the carousel here also reminds me of the carousel at Sonoma, and it also reminds me of the carousel at Watkins Glen. All big sweeping, well, it's a left-hander at Sonoma, but sweeping right hand all the way around, you know, so you're always riding that through there. But if it's me coming out of the turn 7 to hurry down sequence, which is single file for the GT3s, there's just no two ways around it. If I can't pull off that particular pass right then and they're holding me up a little bit, it's much better to lose half a second or a second as you enter the carousel and can get them there than it is to lose the entire race because you got overzealous and punted yourself and someone else.
Yeah, and the amount of time you can spend moving forward at racing speeds is always better than trying to recover something from being dead in the grass, you know, or fish out of water. As we see Stewart try to dive left here before getting into the braking zone, he's able to slide back onto the racing line to maximize his apex on exit here in turn 5. Coming up, this to me, turn 5 here is the hardest corner on the track here. Coming uphill under the Corvette bridge, when you get over, just over top of that crest, all the mechanical grip that Austin was talking about disappears in the car. There is nothing left when you're on the brakes. You have to just lift off the brakes and hope to God you've slowed down enough to be able to turn onto that apex. That corner gets me every time. And I love Road America, but I swear it cost me a whole second there in the P2 every single time I'm here. Yeah, let's take a peek here. Looks like Matt Town in the 340 had quite an off. That's what I'm hearing. And put just 2 wheels into the grass, had a little spin, keeps it out of the wall. And thank God for the safe rejoin.
So a lot of these, particularly the GT3 class, one of the things that we need to remember is that during the course of one lap, these guys are adjusting brake bias, they're adjusting ABS, they can adjust ABS and traction control, different things like that. In the case of the brake bias, a lot of that is going to be when you see oversteer. Sometimes that's what's happened. They've moved it so that the front bites a little better, bites a little harder, or they've moved it so that the backside bites a little better or a little harder, and sometimes they don't get it right. There's a lot that goes on in a cockpit for one of these drivers, and so it's really interesting that, you know, being offline by just a few inches can do that, like we just saw.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're following along, Robbie and We got Robbie and Dan. Oh, okay. Yep. Gav and Robbie here fighting. But yeah, I mean, just being off by a few meters, a few feet is really a huge difference maker. And especially like a track like this. As the 29 of Adam Johnson on his recovery drive is, taking charge at the apex there and swinging in before the carousel to make sure he's not costing himself time. And the 03 of Jason going on the outside of the carousel here, just behind the camera, swinging by, beating the 35 to the kink is huge for Adam. That's gonna, avoid costing him a huge chunk of time here, as Gavin has to work his way back around. Apologies. Jason has to work his way back around there.
Want to remind anyone that's watching on YouTube, feel free to jump into the chat, participate with us. We love the interaction. So, I go clear back to when Speed Channel had Dave Despain on in the evenings on Sundays. I used to moderate that chat clear back when.
Wow, that is quite a throwback. Can you go a little deeper into that? I just personally want to understand.
Absolutely. So Dave Despain would have been on par with, if you guys are familiar with him, with Mike Joy or, Mike Joy and Bob Jenkins in terms of understanding racing and whatnot. He was on par with it. I got into it because me being a hick from Wyoming that grew up, my dad built hill climbers. I did a little shifter karting when Robin Miller was still writing for racer.com. I started emailing him and really appreciated what he brought to the table. He was on Wind Tunnel very frequently, and one of the Dom 5283 bringing up Jerry Punch, and I'm going to say yes, I remember Dr. Jerry Punch and remember him doing the emergency trach on Rusty Wallace. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so when we started doing live chats through the Speed website, I had started moderating on their forums at the time. I got the opportunity to talk during the 30-minute after show that was strictly for the online fans. We got a chance to have a little time. One of my best times was antagonizing John Force, because it was right as Graham Rahal started dating Courtney Force Rahal now. So John Force is always a laugh. That just being involved in that gig, even though it wasn't paid, got me an opportunity to participate in a web chat with Will Power from the IndyCar side. It was still the very early days after the buyout of Champ Car, so it was a lot of fun. It was, unfortunately, as we take a look at Cameron Dance under attack by Matthew Pluck right here, looking to the inside, and it looks like he's going to pull off the move. Wow.
Oh, man.
Excellent outbreak around the outside.
Yeah, Cameron Dance really taking the curbs as he gets a pretty good run to the apex. We'll see what happens here going into the carousel here shortly.
But yeah, that was a different time in racing, because we hadn't moved into the online gaming type deal, but there was a lot of fan interaction that was available and wasn't quite as sterilized as it is today. So I definitely look back on the couple 3 years that I did that really fondly.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, yeah, I've had my fair share of interactions, mostly in person, sitting with a lot of the drivers on the IndyCar side or on the sports car side, mostly in Detroit, but some other small locations here and there. The interactions with fans, as much as I enjoy a good evening or afternoon of F1, I guess here it'd be the morning most of the time of F1. It seems like a lot of that has trickled into the general culture of racing, where as much as I love the IMSA drivers in person, most of them are quite easy to interact with and lovely to be around. You'll see a few that have flown through the ranks of IndyCar, flown through the ranks of open wheelers, anywhere, that just have generally become inaccessible, and it won't interact as much with fans like they used to. It was a lot less organic when I was younger. I was able to, pop in and have a chat with anybody.
Yep.
It's just, I miss those days where, as much as I'm happy that racing has become more popular, it's, there is a few downsides for those of us that were available beforehand.
There is, and I think about, when I was on about a monthly basis firing a message, an email to Robin Miller when he was still writing for Racer before he got sick, and there was so much happening on the IndyCar side, and I got nothing but good things to say about Marshall Pruitt. I've emailed him a few times over the years as well. They're always kind of surprised. Who's this hick from Wyoming that seems to know what he's talking about? But there's a lot of the accessibility to the journalism side right now, I think, is what's really there and what's really excellent for new fans, because, it sounds like you grew up watching some of the great F1 days with Varsha and Matchett and Hobbs, which are gold standard for me. I grew up, of course, watching kart and Formula One. So when I was watching kart, it was Paul Page, Bobby Unser, and Sam Posey, and just listening to these three guys assume that the audience is smart, assume that the audience is capable of learning. And it's really nice to see NASCAR moving back that direction now, too, because for a lot of years it was Darrell Waltrip doing, let's go racing, boys, boogity, boogity, boogity. And there's nothing wrong with that, per se. But at the same time, it did not draw the viewer in through education, as far as I was concerned. So, and then that's one thing that I really appreciate about coming to the majors is, we have the opportunity here to explain what's going on. As we see Matthew Pluck coming up on some GT3 traffic. Should make short work of that as he heads down to the left-hander, the right-hander here.
Yeah, I mean, to continue, there we go. We are seeing Clint Day diving on the Corvette of I'm not sure who, and not being able to hold on the exit of the corner. That's the danger of going on the outside of any GT3 traffic. Good grab there on the replay there, Mike, as he has to make it up in the next quarter coming up. But to get back to the journalism side of things, and how accessible the journalism is right now, especially in sports car racing. Graham Goodwin and I have had one or two chats here that is probably outside of what the expectation is of one of, in my opinion, him and Marshall Pruitt being the top sports car journalists right now. Just him being available in the Discord, in the WEC Discord, watching the 24 hours of Le Mans. He would be in the commentary booth, but still feeding us information in the chat, or just telling a joke or two, or making fun of his own commentary live. It's crazy. The accessibility you see now. I know drivers like Johnny Edgar will flow into that chat while also racing for TF Sports Corvette Racing, as it looks like Matt Pluck hangs on for dear life and makes one of the better moves we've seen today on that Acura.
That was a ascended reminiscent of Juan Manuel Fangio back when Juan Manuel Fangio II, when he was racing for Dan Gurney's team, doing those low percentage outside moves and somehow making it stick.
Yeah, I mean, when you're chasing 10ths, as long as you keep it on track, you got to take risks when you're in multi-class traffic here. Good dive there as well from the 51 there of Matt. Being able to sneak out on that big long exit.
So we're a little over 30 minutes into this stint, so even though we're probably 15 minutes or 20 minutes out from seeing a mass of pit stops, right now you got to assume that drivers are starting to think about what they're going to do. Are they going to make any changes on the car, any kind of aerodynamic changes? I'm not sure how complex the setups can get and what changes are available in iRacing on the pit stops. But you got to be thinking, okay, how much farther do I want to push? Am I going to need to pit short? Am I going to need to try and run long? What can I do to maximize my chances right here? And for some of those guys that got off early, that may be the time to roll the dice and come early and try and get some track position when everyone else cycles through, due to the fact that you've got fresh rubber early on. So I guess we'll see here, as we've got Robert Henry under attack in the 14th position from Daniel Stevens.
Yeah, it looks like Dan Stevens has been wearing out that rear bumper most of today, since at least I picked up watching. Now, question for either of you, Mike, if you're aware, obviously we have unlimited tire sets. Do you know if we're following the standard IMSA rule set here for, tire changes to go along with fuel? Or are they taking advantage of the new iRacing update to split up tires and fuel in the pit stop?
I think in the past, I think they did a little bit of both. But that's definitely something that we can keep an eye on. And I do also want to point out, you did mention how we have unlimited tires here. Believe it or not, the series really wanted to limit the drivers on the amount of sets that they can have, but there has been a massive glitch in the iRacing system for majors, where so what will happen is you'll come in and do fuel only, but when you leave, it takes away a tire, from both sides of the car. So instead of having 4 sets when you leave, you'll have 3, and you didn't even change tires. So that's so I know that at the start they were wanting to limit tires, but because of that glitch, they don't want to chance it just yet until they know for sure that glitch has been taken care of. But once we start getting more drivers down on pit road, we can definitely watch and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the way to look at it. As I'm trying to interact a bit with the chat and trying to remember that, that's one of the things I appreciate most about any sort of commentary booth. But as we got contact here with the GT leader.
Wow.
We're going to need to take one moment here as the flashers go off, rightfully so, from Dylan as, his teammate Robert takes the lead from him. That's just, it feels like multi-class racing, if I've ever seen it. But yeah, as we look here at what I'd see is the 34. Oh, that's our overall leader on the GT3 leader.
Boy, he got
going
way
into
deep
turn
on
1.
those. Got way deep on the curbs there too. You see how far out he was when he shifted back.
It's going to be quite interesting to see how that shakes out towards the end. And this is Dylan takes the lead back from his teammate. Robert Henry feels like a bit of a how would you say team order situation.
So we got Nigel Burley from Sydney, Australia, joining us in chat. Nigel, you probably heard me say earlier ago, feel free to comment on things and participate in the conversation. We want this to be all inclusive.
As we're seeing a replay here in slow-mo. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a little deep, a little bit on the grass, and just ran out of grip and made the smallest amount of contact with Dylan. Push him off track. I mean, it's not disaster. In my mind, that's racing. That's a no call. That might be the American in me. But it's an aggressive move from both. But at the end of the day, nobody got hurt. And I know we aren't supposed to follow the result, but I don't think that move was ever off. I think it was just a matter of running out of a bit of racetrack towards the end there and converging lines more than anything. But what's your take on that, Austin?
I think it's kind of like you say. The only thing that I would add is that, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If I'm a prototype driver, I would rather lose half a second now than risk having to get a tow or pit in for repairs this early in the race. We're just past the 36-minute mark. There is absolutely zero reason. I think it was who was it? Sir Sterling Moss said something along the lines of to finish first, you must first finish. So low percentage moves, save those for the last half an hour, not for the first 3/4 of the race or the first third of the race.
Yeah, and as someone that runs
hang on,
GT.
Hang on.
No, you're good, Mike. I know Mike looks like might have a little technical difficulty here. He's gonna reload the sim.
I'm gonna take a short commercial break.
Yeah, probably run the commercial while he reloads into the system. So we'll be rolling it here in a moment and try to get you back right before the pit stops pop in. And I am seeing, if y'all can still hear me, that we are seeing no
Yes.
further action on the turn 1 incident.
Come on, what are you? Why is everything against me today? Hold that. Stupid iRacing.
Tim Musker has to defend this contact very nearly. He just to the outside line. He breaks so much later. Musker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at him.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
No back into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and
my
to the
goodness.
line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet.
Welcome back, viewers. Thanks for hanging in there with us through the break. On our way back, coming up on green flag pit stops here on our international international series for the majors. Should be happening here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I would assume we're going to see a lot of people coming back to pit road. Action on track.
And we actually have our first takers on pit road right now. Someone here will be going for the old 4-stop race. It looks like, or 3-stop 4-stint race. Who do we got here? Oh boy. Yeah, big wobble. Let me see if I can pick it up. No need to switch the camera over to see who's on pit road. More than happy to. All right, we got Jake Fox on pit road here. Obviously dropping down the 21st. Looking like gonna be rolling with full tank. And I haven't seen I did not. So tires, looks like all 4 tires have gone on as well. And we are going to be doing it separate, as is the standard IMSA rules. So that answers our question. With a roughly 42-minute stint there by Jake Fox, I don't see any way he's going to be able to cut out a stop fully. It will be interesting to see if any of these drivers are able to squeak over to the 50-minute mark. Because we got a 2 hour and 40-minute race.
Yep.
If you can squeak over 50 minutes, is my math correct? Where that will get us a 3-stint race for some of these guys?
It'd be close because 2 hours 40 minutes is 160 minutes. They'd have to make a lot of fuel. If they're going to try to do that, make it a 2-stop race, they're going to do their best to. They're going to be praying for a lot of caution laps.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge stretch, but you never know. It could happen. We've seen crazier. I know when I was racing my own here with the 2 hour and 40 minute of Watkins Glen a few weeks back. It was the same day as the 6 hour. I actually did the IMSA official like enduro, like the 2 hour and 40 minute on this at the same time as our 6 hour split. So we had 3 drivers in the 6 hour split, and then me and my friend Matt were in the 2 hour and 40 minute, which ended simultaneously with the 6 hour split we were in. But with the 2 hour and 40 minute there at Watkins Glen, we were able to make that, a short splash to the end. I think we had 7 laps short of fuel after the full length. But to be fair, I was flicking the on and off switch on the ignition on the LMP2 there towards the end, just trying to make it across the line.
Well, and I think that's something to be brought up, is that anyone that's going to try and extend it like that, we talked earlier about making fuel. That's my bread and butter is IndyCar, so I watch Scott Dixon and study how he's done it for years upon years of lift and coast. And what we'll see, and it'd probably be a little easier to see in the onboard and whatnot at a later point. But if people are going to be making fuel, 2 things are going to happen. They're going to be doing a lot of short shifting, which means shifting before the RPMs get clear up into the red for the shifting. And the other part is you're going to be doing a lot of lifting and coasting, which means getting out of the throttle and coasting into corners before they apply the brakes. That can, quote unquote, big
man.
shun.
That's going to be a fun one to try to figure out. This 911's had quite a bit of action and is now just flowing off track, must have some sort of steering issue. It looks like that front right is towed in significantly. Yikes, as we are starting to see some of these pit stops. So Baker's already been in and out of the pits. And I'd assume looks like the back end with Wayne Hutchinson and another 911 are sneaking into pit road here. Of Heath Mannering. Yeah, that was a tough one to watch as the pit stops have all started. Man, let's put a note in to go back and take a look at that in a little bit here as pit stops have absolutely started. We got an hour and 54 minutes, so a lot of these guys are taking it to 45-minute stints. I expect most drivers are gonna have to come in this lap around for most of them. I can't see a lot of them being able to sneak around another lap at Road America, because this isn't the kind of track where you can start clicking 3 or 4, free pit stops out of. You have to, come in here and, you have to come in here and expect to be spending a lot of gas to get around this track every time. As we're seeing a replay here. It looks like Robert Henry attacking Dylan here, as we've seen a lot of today. No worries. Mike, I figured that was coming. Pit Road is a quiet place right now. Great movie. Terrible acting. But great story. It looks like P9 in GTP Adam Johnson is pitting. He was able to save quite a bit of fuel. And, I'm still trying to see a lot of these guys are stretching it 47-minute stints. especially with that long pace lap as well. Thomas, our overall leader, is now pitting. Now it'll be interesting to see. He came in, or Juan Baker came in with a, I believe it was like a 12-second lead on Thomas before the pit stops. So it'll be interesting to see if Thomas was saving a little bit extra here, trying to stretch a lap, and how that all shakes out. 48 minutes into the race here as Thomas pulls up into his pit box, second row here. Now, if we look for Baker in P6, he is coming around right up into the S's now. So it'll be very interesting to see what this lead looks like. I'm sure he'll still maintain it as he takes the final corner. And I need one of those cough buttons that they got in the booths as their remaining GTPs slide into the pits. Now, you may notice the GT3s have not all pit yet. We've seen very little action on pit road from the GT3s as Juan Baker slides on by Thomas. Now we will see Ben Daughtry still has the overall lead here. He is not pit yet. He is absolutely stretching this as much as he can. He is not our organic leader. He is definitely the leader by, how would you say it?
Just
Our
through
leader by pit cycles, yeah.
So one of the things that we'll see there is, these outlaps are going to be the danger zone for a lot of these guys. That is when two things happen, since this is a single driver race. One, they've just come off of 40-some minutes of gripping the wheel and trying to think of every shift, every turn that they have to make, all of these things, and interrupted that rhythm to get in and get what they need to continue the race. And two, this is where you see, even though it's a hot day and tires should probably come up to full temp in a single lap, sometimes they won't. So you may hopefully we don't see it, but we may see some guys trying low percentage moves or blending in less than favorable fashion that winds up creating incidents. And as you and I both know, yellows create yellows. The more you bunch up the field, the more it can happen. So thus far, everyone's done pretty clean. And to speak to your point about our leader that hasn't pitted yet, he may be trying to run it as long as possible.
As he is now.
Could work that as a strategy call to overcut by significant margin, by 2 laps maybe 3, and then have short fuel on his last stint.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is Ben was able to make this last an extra 3 laps over Juan Baker and an extra 2 laps over Thomas Hines here. Now, although he's already been passed by P1 and now P2 overall, come the end, that, extra 10 seconds might not be what gets him the lead, but might sneak him, into 4th, 5th, 6th place in the end. You never know how this will shake out towards the end when the, let's keep an eye on the 313 here and see how that sorts out. The GT3s though, really stretching their fuel. I think with them running 100% fuel, they might be able to stretch this. The GT3s are looking to make this a 2-stop race at this point. I don't see a world where they're going to need to make that extra stop, especially if they're able to get over that 55-minute mark.
Makes sense. So in the chat, Nigel Burley 8955 was asking if we are assured of a safety car. To my knowledge, we presently are not. It is just listed as a possibility on the majors page that I've got pulled up. It also emphasizes that rain is possible. We had a little bit of a discussion about that earlier on. Dom5283 says, is there one fast repair for the race? And if I recall, maybe you can speak to that more. That is the case. They have one fast repair. Is that correct?
Yep, one fast repair keeps everybody in the race. When you're looking at these small league races, accidents aren't that common, but when they do happen, we do want these guys to be able to pop in, pop out, get back on track, and keep the racing alive. We don't have an unlimited pool of drivers to go by, so if we had one bad accident and you already got to come to the pits and it's going to cost you the time, we can't have a bunch of drivers dropping out, but we still want to have some sort of weight to that, so they aren't going crazy with unlimited fast repairs or anything. Still having this, I wouldn't call it a battle, more of a processional in the
it's
lead of GT3s.
almost very intentional that they've stayed like this. Just fill in the mirrors, making sure that they know that he's there, or they've worked out something and they're working together just to stay safe as they go.
Yeah, and knowing how these guys run here, seeing them run at Daytona, seeing them run at the Indy 500, I mean, the KSR guys. Yeah, the KSR guys, I feel like have the longest team meetings out of anybody I've seen. They come here with a plan and they stick to it. And you got to think the 5 car is probably benefiting from Dylan's pace here a bit, but also probably benefiting from being able to roll through some corners but still be able to keep up with the slipstream. Being side by sides, what costs you time, costs you fuel here. And yeah, absolutely. It looks like the GT3s are starting to make their stops. It'll be interesting to see who can make this happen on 2 stops and who is going to need to take that extra lap or 2. As we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 takers, including Dan Stevens, one of our top 3 runners, has pit here, pit early with the crowd, and is not planning to stretch this an extra lap. As we go over 146 remaining, 55 minutes is, in my opinion, your target that you want to be at, to be able to stretch this into 1 extra lap if we don't get a safety car. So a lot of these guys pitting now, and if they don't, get it together on the fuel save here going forward, are going to be needing that extra splash for 2 or 3 laps, depending on how it all shakes out at the end.
Pit road delta for a full stop is what, about 40 seconds, correct? So you see,
maybe even up to like 55, 60 seconds here. It looks like the fuel flow is pretty slow,
depending on their fuel flow. So, they have to account that into, their in lap and their out lap and where their tires are at, like right now. So be interested, like you are, to see how they adjust to the idea that they did not make 55 minutes. Boy, it's heartbreaking, but we saw it at the 12 hours earlier, yesterday now. Saw a guy run out of gas on the after the last turn of the last lap in class, and that's just heartbreaking. But
it's maybe the worst track to do that.
Yeah, it is, because this is over 4 miles here at Road America. It's the longest road course that most everyone races in the United States.
Oh, the whole delta even. Yeah, and I'm seeing 84 seconds. So,
oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
This is a huge pit road. Uphill both ways.
Yeah.
We got a lot more takers in the GT3s. 3rd through 7th car on track right now have all pitted. That said, Robert Henry and Robbie Bradbury are still on track. Now, Dylan Jordan did come in on our overall leader, actually. But Robert Henry did stretch an extra lap. And like I said, he's been following around Dylan this whole race, saving in the slipstream. That is, not something to sneeze at. We're seeing the benefit right now of a 5 car. If we want to pop on over to him, has followed around his teammate for this entire stint. And let's see if we'll see the 5 car on screen here shortly. I guess technically P13. Overall, he is still cruising. No issue, no question on the fact that he was able to save a significant amount of fuel, as everyone else behind him has come in besides Robert Bradbury in the 35, he still has a 22-second lead on. So, Robert's on the lead delta. We'll see what happens when he comes in the pits and exits. If he comes in this time, unless he saved an excessive amount of fuel, we're about to find out. And yes, there he goes. Yep, as expected. But that extra lap, that crossed us over to 56.5 minutes. He has by far the best position on track and window to make the pit stops work as he's coming in and lapping a few cars on his way in. This is peak strategy, from KSR. We see it all the time. as we will see where. Who are we looking for? Probably Dylan Jordan. We'd probably want to pop on here, the 21 car, our former overall leader. Maybe pop an in-car. He is currently in P4 of GT3, 16th overall. Pop an in-car if you can on Dylan Jordan. And I want to see, once the pit exit comes around, what this is going to look like from KSR. Are they going to, somebody's reversing down pit road. Must have forgotten something in the box. What we're working on here with Dylan's view here that we want to see is now Robert is pulling out of his pit box as Dylan's coming at speed up the hill. It's going to be really close as Dylan has exited the pits. Let's see where he sorts in. I mean, wow, that's surprising at how much of a gap that actually ended up being between Dylan and the what was it, the 5 car we've been tracking, Robert Henry?
Yep. So one of the things that I think is, we got to think about how he just settled into that slipstream for almost the entire full first stint. You think that a GT3 car is going to burn anywhere from 6 to 7 gallons per lap here at Road America. One of the things that comes to mind right now is the fact that he probably clawed back a third of a gallon every lap just by staying in the slipstream like that. So if he can do that again, 2 laps is nothing to sneeze at in terms of looking at the short stop at the tail end of the race. So it'd be really interesting to see how this goes. And, not to belabor the point, but since safety cars, while they can happen, aren't a guarantee, he's really thinking long-term game, which is, it's impressive to see right now.
Yeah, and as we're seeing the 2-1, catch up to the 5 car here, I think there's a slight advantage on pace that we're seeing, but yeah, sitting in that slipstream is crazy. Now the 21 does have, a lot warmer tires now. Coming in a lap early is going to do that for you. Well, Robert's still trying to warm them up. Now, I'm going to be curious to see how this shakes out. If the 21 is going to get the go right on by, I'm going to keep saving and try to get 1 extra lap on you again. Or if the 21 is now going to sit behind the 5 and take advantage of the slipstream. I genuinely don't know what the plan is here, but I can almost guarantee KSR has something up their sleeve. It's going to be fun to follow here. As we got a new fastest lap from On Baker with fresh tires out of the pits to full tank of fuel. He has now lost about 3 seconds to his lead. It's an 8.6 second gap here to the Team Jinx car of Thomas Hins. It's very interesting to see how this will shake out in the GT3s as well as the GTPs. It seems like the GT3s is really going to be a 2-horse race between these guys. I don't expect to see any fireworks, but they're not doing anything nefarious. They're just racing, and if they were or weren't teammates, I could see this exact strategy playing out. And it seems to me, if we listen in on the lifts from the 21, I'll shut up for a second here. After a long straightaway, you'll see that the 21 will lift quite early, usually right when the brake lights are going on. You'll see a big lift here from Dylan. As we get into the braking zone here, this might be where you see it. Pretty big lift going into there compared to the normal braking area. They know the plan, and I'd expect to see the fuel numbers flip as we have some latest pit cycle here, just seeing the time difference here, where oddly enough Henry took a little more time on the full cycle than Jordan did. But it must have been mostly related to the actual position on track. Maybe the in-lap for Henry was quite good as well.
One of the things that I think is important to remember here is that, iRacing fills and I forget the exact number. I'm waiting on it to load right now because I looked it up. But fills at, here it is, roughly 3.5 to 4.5 liters per second on the GT3s. So if he's going to be able to overcut by 2 laps every time around, that is going to, his last stop could be as much as 3.5 seconds shorter than his competitors when they cycle out for the last pit stop. That's not insignificant at all.
Not at all. I'm going to say that the interesting part of this is that the 21 seems to be in no hurry to overtake the 5.
Right.
He is now going to take his chance to try to flip this pit strategy back, which is good for both of them because all they're doing is spacing themselves out from the competition. Ooh. That was a fun little round of pit stops. Genuinely interesting as we got an hour 37 here remaining. 1 hour down, hour and 40 to go. The interesting part here that I'm wondering how this will shake out is if there was a safety car right now, everyone's pit, it'd be an easy cycle here. Everybody pit, probably stay roughly in the same order, give or take a few weird entries and stuff. If there's ever a safety car in the middle of a pit cycle, that's where you see a shakeup and can just change every single strategy you've ever seen.
Sure. You think of guys that aren't fighting for a podium that are back in mid pack or clear in the back. That's a good time for them to roll the dice, and if nothing else, particularly in the situation where they've got 2-car teams, they may have one guy working out a different type on the setup or a different pattern just to see how it works, whether it's for future reference or whether it's to gain an advantage here. Since you and I both know that full course cautions, yellow breeds yellow, if there's one incident and you back the field back up, and the statistical rate of incidents goes up with each successive yellow.
For sure. And as I'm checking in the chat now, it's not a Juan, it's Ewan. And I absolutely knew that was coming, but it wasn't in a private Discord chat. It was publicly for the internet to see this time. So, thanks Gab Doggy for dropping that down. Answer another question from Don5283. Any benefit to series points for leading laps apart from the last one, of course? I don't believe there is any partial race points or any sort of laps led points in majors, unless you know differently, Mike. Yeah, I don't believe there is. If there is, there's always a chance. And we also did get if there are yellows, it'll be a maximum of 2 safety cars if we get any at all.
See that.
I'm going to step away, grab a cup of tea to help my 3 a.m. throat here. So if you give me 2 minutes, Austin, I'll let you run with it here for a moment.
All right, so we are watching Dylan Jordan and Mike, I forget his last name, working very hard at just pacing the field, letting the race come to them. Since this is a daylight race, the conditions won't be changing too much for them. They're just settled in, letting things happen as they go on. One of the things that's important is that it's the pit strategy that we've been talking about. We see them operating in the undercut and the overcut, so I think it's a pretty plain strategy that they're running. So right out of the gate, since this isn't a 12-hour race, you're going to see drivers treat every exchange like it's important, because it is. And right there, you just saw prototypes scream around them. They don't have time to wait behind other classes as things press on. So we'll continue looking at this thing, and I'm going to check back in at chat real quick. So presently, whoa, did I see a black flag indicator just come up? Well, if it did, I'm not aware. Yep, Matt Chalker got a black flag. Number 76. It's a way to ruin his day. Oh, this is a stop, or is he just taking service? Presently, it was for an incident. Be interested to see what it was, because race control ideally doesn't throw black flags the way a certain national series used to throw debris cautions. Huh. All right, here's Robbie Bradbury running number 16 for Team Australia in the number 35 car, making way for a prototype to go past.
And thanks for covering that a bit for us here, Austin, as well.
Robbie Bradbury under attack from Middle Finger Racing RH. That's a very subtle name.
Is that a cult? As we see the 25 coming up here on Robbie. I mean, this like I mentioned, I'm keeping an eye on the 21 and the 5. Not much to see there. Still maintaining the status quo. So in terms of battles on track, it looks like these two Mustangs are going to be what's spending the most time together. It looks like there was a bit of a defensive line taken there by Robbie as Gavin's trying to just get by him to be able to make up some ground. I mean, at the end of the day, they're fighting for just a little bit of progress here at this point.
Looking at the chat, Don5283 asks, is there a virtual equivalent of ripping off a piece of foam padding off a roll cage bar and tossing it out the window? That cracks me up.
Thank you for checking that, Mike. I completely forgot about that question. So, we only hear Mike in our ears. I often forget that he's not always open on the microphone. So, to answer the question on points, you are not getting points for leading laps. There's no partial, halfway through the race points or anything like that here as well. Now, I always like to do this, and Mike knows, as annoying as it can get. I always like to send Mike on one more journey. If we can get anybody from race control in here just for a moment to speak to the, conversations that are being had. No worries if you can't get that, Mike, but I'll send you on that. I have a few questions, especially on that no action taken with the dive in turn 1 about 20 minutes ago. Let me know if you're able to get him in.
Hello.
Oh, wow. That was...
I just think he was like, hey, if there are questions, let me know.
I mean, hilarious. Blue, nice to see you. I've seen you in quite a bit of my own steward conversations over the years, but nice to see you here as well. I assume you were the one that made the call on the no further action when Ewan and Dylan came together into turn 1 there earlier.
Ewan and Dylan. Let me.
The two
check.
GT3 and GTP leader about 20 minutes ago, diving in turn 1, made a little contact.
Yes, we did.
Well, I mean, although I totally agree with you, what was the rationale there behind the no further action? Just a racing incident? Like, was there any warnings given out?
There was no warnings. The way we saw it is Iwan did like, kind of dive in there and shove him out. But when you look at what came out of it for Robert here, is he lost the position only until the end of that next straight, and from what we could see, had no damage. Though we don't usually judge on damage, so we figured, there's nothing actually harming Robert's race besides out of the lead for not even a full lap. It should be fine. So we go ahead and gave it an NFA.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that is as we see the 03 of Jason sliding, and everybody seems to be losing control all of a sudden. Might be some marbles out there. Yeah, I know. It's like it is. And it looks like we might even see one more with Adam here on the replay, cutting to the ground. Yep. Everyone's sliding off. I was wondering what all that dust and debris was when we were following the GT3s around earlier.
As long as they don't pull a Jake, it's okay.
I don't know what that means, but I'd be concerned. Somebody have a bad rejoin?
Oh, Jake early in the race hit the wall while leaving the last corner twice, 2 laps in a row, and then parked it and left.
Yep, I saw that. He's just gonna go sit there and troll everybody's names in Discord later. But I mean, what is your favorite part about the multi-class racing here, Blue? I mean, it's the fun of, in my opinion, it's just the fun of having the racing continuing at all times. Even you're not gonna have a processional of any kind. These guys gotta pass each other.
No matter what, you're going to have something happening on the track. There's no way you go more than 10 minutes without at least a GTP passing one of the GT3s, And then from a race control perspective, it adds, I hate to say it, adds a level of complexity to some incidents, which sometimes I hate, but in hindsight makes them really, really fun to deal with.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think that it's some of the most fun to evaluate. As many standards of multi-class racing as we have. I mean, you'll have guys that'll say, hold your racing line at all costs. And then there's situations where that's not what you want to do. I mean,
we actually had that earlier with the 744 and the 371. The 744 got a warning and a reminder that they just need to hold their line instead of diving out the way.
Exactly. The only time, in my opinion, you're not holding the racing line in a GT3 is, if that GTP is going to pass you, you're not diving down onto the apex and taking that racing line. You got to treat it like a normal pass, normal situation like that.
Indeed.
So maybe you can answer this and give some specificity on the rules. Then, is this a series where in class it's one defensive move?
I will be entirely honest with you. I have no clue.
Fair enough.
I kind of, the way I kind of judge those is I know standards, it's down the straight one defensive move, but if you take the inside and a guy comes up on your outside and you squeeze him to the outside, I don't see an issue with that. That's racing to me.
Yeah, a little bit of a Scott Pruitt fade. Absolutely.
Yeah, but if I see you moving one way and then moving the other without blocking the guy, that's at least a warning.
Sure. Well, the other part of that is any driver worth their salt knows you're actually scrubbing speed when you do that, so they wouldn't want to do that anyhow. It eats up tires. But at the same time, I've watched over the years. I've watched a lot of feeder series out of Europe, and that blocking type stuff is just a way of life.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, a lot of the people here are know their stuff and know you definitely lose speed down the straight doing that, and it just isn't worth it because it will get you reported and get you a penalty from race control.
For sure. And have you been working all day on race control here with the 12-hour, or do you have other guys running that today?
I ran the first 3 hours of the 12 and then the last 3, and then I'm doing this.
There you go.
And then I thought I was on for America's tomorrow, but I'm not. So
Fair enough. And man, I love interacting with race control. I think it's just such a fun little insight to what's going on behind closed doors here.
I love being both because I for a while I was in the booth for America's, and it was fun being in America's broadcast and then being able to be like, oh well, this is what they're probably doing in the booth. I'm willing to bet on it because this is what I do in the booth.
Exactly. And I love it. Between you and like Garen will roll in here sometimes to spend some time with us. Who knows? I might need to sneak into race control here and there.
Hey, you know, it never hurts, and there's pay for it. So, I mean,
well, you know, we all do it for the money.
Obviously. I do still remember when it was just major credits that you got for helping.
Yeah.
And even then, Garen cheaped me out on some for a bit, but it's okay because I have like 150 sitting in my account from those days, so I don't really need them.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had the time to put in practice right now. 2 young babies will slow me down on that, but you know, if I can here on Eastern time and in Michigan, if I can sit here up and stay all night and enjoy it, and you know, although the money's not much, being able to see a little bit hit the account and my wife not thinking that I'm staying up all night for no reason, you know.
I feel it. Anyway, hopefully I'm not cutting it too short. We have some stuff to come in that we gotta go deal with. It'll be.
What should we keep an eye on? Give us some car numbers.
I'll. You guys will know.
Oh, come on.
You'll know.
We see a black flag popping up for Jason. We'll let you get to it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. If you guys have any questions, send me a message or ping me, and I'll clarify for y'all.
More than happy. All right. See you later, man.
All right. See ya.
Thank you. And what did we miss, guys? I'm thinking Jason's black flag. Was that incident points related? I don't see the, you know, I feel like iRacing used to have the incident limits pop up. I'm not seeing anything from Jason besides like that final off track that would have triggered anything. Yeah. I don't see anything on the... Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I'm not seeing any incident responsibility. Yep. He's done that quite a few times today. Yeah, just 2 wheels off, no big deal. Oh, that's it. That's fun. Holy cow, dude.
Yeah.
I would say that might be on the list.
Far more catastrophic.
You know, I could see that being no further action. Are we able to get an in-car of that just to see what Cameron had to deal with on there? As he's trying to even fight for P3 right now. Mind you, that wasn't a useless engagement there. Yeah, let's pause it here and watch the follow-up. I mean, what are you supposed to do here? If you're in Cameron's shoes Like, in my opinion, as an LMP driver, a GTP driver, and a GTE and GT3 driver, in my opinion, I'm seeing I have this position. He's taking the defensive line. I can't care about his race. I can hope that I don't hit him, but I'm not here to help the 21 save time. You know, at the end of the day, like, I think that moves on, and I don't think the 21 should have cut down on Cam Dance there, in my opinion. I'm not race control today. But that's a GT3 going, this is my track and I'm going to take it. And a GTP saying, no, thank you. I will be driving down the grass to make sure that I will be passing you right now. That is one of the riskier moves and hardest corners to pass on here, especially with the changes in elevation that definitely played a role in that lockup. But no one got hit, so bring it up.
But I'm really interested to see. Yeah, the logic there is very strange because of the fact that the rule set is pretty clear in the majors that you're expected to hold your line, not change your line, and I don't know, maybe the passing GT3 car didn't realize that they had a prototype coming up that fast. There's a lot that goes on there. It just
see, that's where I'll disagree with you a little bit, being that I think he did hold his line. I mean, he made his definitive move and held his line and stayed right there. It wasn't like a late block. He was like, I'm putting my car here. And at the end of the day, Dylan has every right to make that his spot. Sure. It's just, I disagree with the thought process on that being the move that you want to make there.
Oh, I agree. Because no matter how you cut it, it's low percentage on either side. So it
yellow flag is out. This, right around halfway.
Yep, just over halfway. We got a safety car.
I mean, a lot of these guys got to be coming up on fuel, right? And GTPs.
Maybe, but it's only been, you're probably about right. About 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, the prototypes here definitely owe us a stop here soon. I am curious if pit road opens up first lap here. Because with the class splits, this could be rather interesting if pit road isn't open, because if my calculations are correct, about half these GTPs were due in this lap. Just make sure we follow you in here over the line. I want to see what happens, and if you have any insight on if pit road is open, either of you speak now, because I just genuinely do not know when and how that'll open here, and if they're going to do class differentiating pit stops here or not.
Oh, I say open it all up. It should be a free for all.
I mean,
it was.
Yeah, that made the dive. For sure. I like that. I like being able to see Cameron's there. Yeah, and personally, I wouldn't be the one to protest there either way. I think it was crazy, but I don't think anybody did anything that is worthy of punishment in that case. And no advantage for either party, because what's the GT3 going to protest? I mean, if anything, Cameron might feel like he was chopped a little bit off there with racing room towards the entry into the corner. As we do want to probably stick on you in here to see what happens at the pits. I assume based on him catching the pace car and most of the cars coming around that we're gonna see the green lights open on pit road. I don't know. Come through the S's here. And I would, yeah, Ewan's definitely diving in. So yeah, unless those
Road
red lights
open.
mean something different. Yeah. So Ewan's in. I'm assuming that means that we are going to have a class split on the pit entry. Let me sneak over to my pit road cam. Yeah, so we're only getting prototypes in pit road, so they will be doing the class split there, which is exactly how IMSA does it in real life. Quite frankly, it is pretty cool that majors are doing that. And let's take to the drivers meeting. It sounds like that might be something that, although iRacing isn't able to properly handle, that they will clear black flags as needed on the restart to properly run this class split.
That'd be good.
This will completely reset the fuel game here. We currently have 112 remaining. As this has been the most slow motion caution I felt we've had. Everybody's going to be changing 4 tires and giving us a full tank of fuel here. As all the cars are dropping off the air jacks there on the pit road. It'll be interesting to see, because I'm pretty sure this equalizes the GTPs and GT3s as they all start peeling off pit road, and we'll see how this all shakes out on exit. Everyone should be able to make this on one more stop.
That's what I was about to say. Was there's the GTPs, they were getting between 40 and 45 minutes for the first stop. So particularly with a few laps of yellow, they're going to be saving a lot of fuel. They're going to be, not wearing down their tires as badly. So we should, everyone should be only one more stop.
Understood. And Blue just dropped in the chat on,
I see that.
on YouTube. Apparently this is what his big plans were. So I don't know, whatever random number generator they come up with or how to throw these cautions. Do you know the protocol for how they come up with caution flags?
I do not. I'm still fairly new to the iRacing side of things.
Do you know how that works, Mike?
Pick me.
Oh,
I know.
Mike knows.
Okay, so
he found the unmute button. So here we go.
No, it's because I've done this before. So Garen, he'll come up to us and he'll go roll a generator, and he'll give us the number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And I'll go into a spin the wheel thing, and I'll put 3 of the numbers in, or each number in 3 times, randomize it again, and spin it until I come down to the last number. And that's how I tell how many cautions we're going to have. And then you put in a randomizer about what time, do we want it to be put in. And they give us a rough estimate of, what to look for-ish. But after I get the answer, nobody knows. Only I know the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be a big secret to keep.
Yeah. Right now, I didn't even know the caution was going to come out.
Yeah, I'm glad they don't tell us in the booth.
Yep.
That'd be something that would be burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah. And I want to go ahead and go back, take a look at that Cameron Dance incident once more, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah, speaking of, he had taken P3 on pit road, interestingly enough. Had a little better entry and exit and a little less fuel load to put in. But yeah, happy to see it.
All right, so let me make sure I get to the beautiful. All right. Here we go. And
yeah, so like we
down.
discussed, you see the 21 make his, I think he makes his presence known, but it's that last squeeze from the 21. If you look, that's a good point. I'm glad we're looking at this. If you look at the 21, I think he establishes himself here. This is my line. This is where I'm sticking. But he does one little shink to the left on Cameron, and Cameron's committed. He's sending it at that point. And that's, in my opinion, if I'm the 21, once I see that, I'm like, all right, I was not able to hold this spot and own my line. I'm swinging all the way to the right side of the track so I can get the cleanest exit here possible. I don't know if you saw that differently, Austin, but
Not so much. I the long and short of it is what it comes down to is, Dance could have lifted, because again, when you see the 21 moving over right here, this suddenly right now is a very low percentage chance. If it's me, I back out.
If I am protesting here, it's the 21 scooting over under braking a little bit.
Maybe, but also at the same time, I am also looking at let me restart it here and go half pace. I'm also looking at it. Why am I not looking at it the right way? At this point, right about here, this is the braking zone.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing you have 3 GT3s in front of you, I don't agree with trying to take advantage of it, especially with the car in front. We're going to back up here just a little bit because this is what I look at. Oops, wrong way. Oh, that's track. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
Anyway, the car in front. The car in front. He's already sitting in the middle of the track, it seems, this whole time. I'm going to go to the camera I don't like to show on in broadcast because it's just not a natural camera. But
that's the only way we're going to get a good look at this.
But here, he's already sitting halfway across the track. And you know that your brake marker coming up and he's already sitting in half the track. As a LMP2 driver myself, I ain't gonna attempt to make that pass, let alone in a GTP, because of just the speed difference in general. I mean, look at this. This could have been bad for 2 GT3s right there.
Yep.
Yeah, so, low percentage, 100% low percentage move, but
definitely
I think
pushing hard in. So
I'm at the point of, I don't think he didn't have the right to make the move. I just wouldn't have made that move.
Yeah, right. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Is again, you're at that time we weren't even halfway through the race, and so it was important to note that it's just there's an element of patience that. I remember hearing Scott Pruitt say many years ago, and other guys, that have Joey Hand said it very similarly, that if you're dive bombing and you're only halfway through, it comes down to what for. What is it you're trying to prove? The long and short of it is you only have to lead one lap to win the race. So it very much slow down, and particularly in the case with when you're attacking a lower class, you got to think about the bottleneck. They're not required to move over for you. They just are required to hold their line. And so, yeah, we've cussed and discussed it, and I think we've kind of arrived at the natural conclusion that, sure, he had the right to put it through, but whether it was wise or not is up to interpretation at best.
Yeah, exactly. It's a low percentage move that he had every right in the world to make, that I feel like a rational human being isn't making. But Cameron Dance may be one of the most aggressive drivers in this league. And I don't think he's an unsafe driver. I just think he is taking more than he's giving.
And I if it's in the last 15 minutes of the race, I'm probably going to have a different opinion on it. But, with an hour and 40 minutes to go, it seemed unnecessary.
Yeah. Now, interestingly, Dan Stevens and Gavin have come back down pit road to, I assume, top off with, I don't know, what do we got, 55 minutes left or an hour 03 left? Are we thinking that they're going to try and stretch this without another stop based on the timing of the pass around and the class split?
They might.
I mean, it's not unheard of.
Gives them the opportunity for a major league undercut on the pit stop.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I don't know, I'm not giving up 10 positions. I guess there's cars lap down, so I'm not giving up 10. Yeah, I guess still 10 positions to try to make a little more of an undercut and still have to come down pit road. with the way it's going to spread out. But I'm interested to see. I mean, you're really not using much gas, probably half a lap or less under yellow.
Even in sports cars, typically it works out to be, you lose, you double the amount your fuel goes when you're under yellow.
Yeah, and if you're going to have an aggressive fuel save strategy here, it might be even a little more. I'm really interested to see how this is going to shake out, genuinely. We get a few wave rounds coming here.
It's another good time to remind anyone that's watching on YouTube, feel free to jump in the chat, join the conversation with us. We enjoy that interaction very, very much.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is a small private league with, not 500 people watching. Anything you say can and will be used on the broadcast for or against you. Yeah, I mean, this
reminds me of, I was talking about the day.
Wait. Did you just say that this is a small broadcast league?
I mean, it's the biggest private iRacing league.
Do we forget during the Major 24, we had like 9,000 drivers sign up for that thing?
Oh, no one forgot. We're talking about just this international thing that you don't have any U.S. audience, only U.S. commentators. All the audience is most of these guys' families and friends. But at the end of the day, like point standing. Anything you have to say, any questions, any comments, any concerns, any opinions that Austin and I will fervently disagree with, feel free to share. But yeah, the Majors 24, it was, I had to review my own overnight stint there, and after doing some driving, and that was a bad look on the commentary. As much as this is some of my better commentary, I feel like I've done it a bit with Austin, obviously keeping up the conversation quite a bit. When you have a big audience and it's 7 a.m. after you've been up all night, the amount of filler words I was adding in was a bit excessive. Let's see, we got someone else here on pit road.
Gavin Cox receiving a black flag. Any idea what that's about?
No,
pit lane speeding penalty, possibly.
That's possible. Is it end of longest line? And do you have more GT3s pitting, by the way? So now that we're down essentially an hour plus, this is interesting because gotcha. So this will be a bit of a iRacing black flag that will be cleared out after. So we might see a few more of those flow in. Okay. Gotcha. And Dan Stevens, if I'm seeing correctly, popped back down pit road again. And is now back at the line again. So yeah, Dan and Gavin in the 3 and the 25 are for sure trying to stretch this. There is zero reason that I'd be sliding down pit road if I was either of them, if I wasn't trying to stretch this to the end. And the way it's shuffling out, and with the wave rounds and those that have had to pit, they timed it right. They've essentially held their positions. They are in P4 and P5 right now with no one between them and the leader. I mean, in terms of strategy, like, I'm going to be really curious to see if they're able to stretch this to the end.
Gab Doy an individual in chat has asked us why they serpentine behind the pace car like that. Typically what they're trying to do is keep temperature in their tires. When we're not at race speeds, the tires go a little cooler which means they won't have as much grip. We were discussing earlier that there are two types of grip in this kind of racing. There's aerodynamic grip, which is created by the undertray, the bodywork, and the wings. And then there's mechanical grip, which is the actual physical touch of the tires on the track. And so what they're doing, the warmer your tires are, the stickier they are, the more they will grip to the racing surface, giving you more control over the car, giving you different handling characteristics. So as they weave back and forth behind the pace car, that's what they're doing, is trying to keep heat in the tires. Hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, and there's constant debate on the iRacing validity of doing that. On if it's worthwhile or if it's just a waste of time. I personally will, if I'm not worried about fuel, I'll do a bit of like a brake drag and weave. I think
Sure.
for me, it's gotten enough grip into the tire. iRacing gives us a little bit of an indicator too with the squeaking brakes to let us know if our brakes are warmed up. But yeah, in a race like this, I'm probably not thinking too much about it, especially with the timing of this caution. And what the fuel situation could be. Looks like follow-up question.
He's just telling me.
Just call me Gab.
Yeah.
Fair.
So yeah, and that's one of those things that you'd need a fairly hefty. One of the cool things that iRacing does is, even though it is a resource-heavy platform, they do try and keep some of those things that are really ticky-tack for the casual gamer. There's those of us that are up in the middle of the night calling this the same way I used to be up in the middle of the night as a kid watching Formula One.
Yep.
we like that kind of stuff, but maybe that's something that's going to come in the future, or maybe it's just not effective now. But I'm kind of with you. If I was in the driver's seat right now and I had the fuel to do it, I'd go ahead and do it, because at the very least, it's not going to hurt anything.
Right. And we got some more takers. This has to be making race control just wince.
Try to sort out
now
the
2
order.
laps to green. Yeah, we're now 2 more laps to green. I mean, there has to be a cutoff at some point where we say, all right, you've pit after the class split. Now you're in the back. And then we're seeing I guess that's Wayne. He had the wave around here. He's a couple laps down off the lead.
Well, the thing about it is we come up here on an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 16 minutes right now to go. This was going to be a more aggressive race just because it's only 2 hours and 40 minutes long than, say, a 12-hour race that I called yesterday in general. But right now, these guys are now working out a strategy where it's time to go. It is time to gain the track position and put yourself to be in contention at the end of the race, whether it's in class or overall. So, adding that 2 laps for the drivers, I'm sure that's very tedious as well. You see these guys that have been behind the pace car, they want to get back to racing. They want to make up some places. And so you get the mental drain.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to commercial. We'll be back, guys.
There might be some rain coming through. We expect rain soon. Rain is close. The session has been declared wet. No sign of this rain stopping.
got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As that's still 4 wide on the run down into the back straight.
The door right there. With a head of steam moving to the outside his chin. Richie says it can't be done. Tony Shallen says turn on the reggae music. If you're gonna pass me, you're gonna do it high.
There is just one more lap remaining, and look how close Rudolph is. He got the slipstream.
There we go. 2 laps to settle it in the Blue Emu Firecracker 400. Whatever you got to give it now. Back to green we go.
On the final lap, side by side, they still run wheel to wheel. Now, through the snake, the S as we go. Quaro edges ahead. Modolf is still there.
White flag, 1 more to go on the Daytona 250. Kepler leads that lap. Who's going to lead the last one?
To the line, look at that. Dave Chapman, he's going to send it around the outside final corner. Has he got it done?
Continuing to go side by side for the lead through 3 and 4, and they manage it safely. Now through 5.
And hunting for a way by it all. Round 2 between Phil Sell and Rudolph.
To the outside. White flag is out side by side. They make contact in the turn number 1. Ooh, gets him onto the grass. Now down to the inside. Andy T, a little bit of a wiggle and the perfect crossover there from Polly Parson to defend the position. Andy T totally sideways. They're still sideways going into Siberia.
And getting ready to cross, he goes around the outside, but it's not enough.
Edens up the racetrack. Car broke down the track. A photo finish. James Edens wins it.
It's still 4 abreast into the braking zone. This is sensational racing.
And here comes Bowden. It's going to be a drag race to the end. That's side by side. Who gets it?
Williams tries to cover him off, but once again, pulling the over-under. Daniel Morad is going to win with a last quarter pass.
Newsom's coming up right there. By the corner. It's going to be pinned down.
Oliver is going to come back at him. It's going to be a race to the line. Does he have enough? Down to it.
And a wrecking in 3. Here comes Michael Cozy Jr. Michael Cozy Jr.'s got the lead.
He looks to the inside. Side by side for the race lead.
Are coming back as we are halfway around our final pace lap, coming to the green flag. We see the class split is complete. Robert Henry and Dylan Jordan are going to be the top 2 with, I believe, Dan Stevens, although there's a few lap cars between them. Dan Stevens will be in P3 here. Now, Austin and I were talking over the break. Dan Stevens came down pit road, if I'm counting correctly, 3 times on that sequence, where we only saw Robert and Dylan come the first time around. I'm assuming a lot of the folks behind Dan came in because of the way he shook back out to 3rd. But he's got the best fuel number compared to everybody here, if I'm counting correctly.
Probably will. And if he came down on 3 different occasions, which I agree with you, that's what my count was as well, he's going to have a full tank, and he's going to have just that few extra laps there. You know, we talked about it, and we have talked about it earlier in the broadcast, but what it comes down to is that gives him the opportunity probably to have a shorter stop on the last stop that'll be coming up here in a bit. We're back to green. If any at all. Yeah, if any at all. Back to green.
That was a very IndyCar-esque restart with the weaves out left and right, if I've ever seen it at Road America, as Ewan takes his lead per usual, and the lapped cars on the GT3 start are also diving out of the way, making sure that the top 3 or 4 can still continue their battle. What we're looking at here is the GT3 leaders, the 5 cars still in front of Dylan. Now, like we talked about, it'll be curious to see if these 2 guys are in the lead at the end or if they're going to be making a short stop. Now, Dylan is making quick work of the lap cars that are between him and the leading group. as we have a GTP somewhere stuck in traffic. I'm assuming these are some of the guys that topped off or had to wave around and got stuck behind the traffic. So these GT3s are doing a phenomenal job, even though they're split, of just holding their line so the GTPs can find their way through. What I would spend time doing here is just keeping an eye out for any incidents now that we're all packed up. The cautions breed cautions, although these are randomly generated, is a mix of this is a non. Oh, I mean, this is slow car with the 340. Not sure. It looks like just a little ride through the grass, a little lawn mowing. But we'll flip back when we can at the lead group here in hypercar. When we do get a chance, the 52 of Thomas is trying to pull back up to Ewan. He's not falling back as much as he was earlier. In the 52 car here. As we got a car off, looks like Jason is off right in front of Dylan. We want to take a look at what happened there. Jason has found trouble once again today.
It's like he just ran wide. He was wide there when we cut into the shot. Into the shot.
Yeah, just
once you get out there on that grass, whoa. Once they're out there on that grass, they're just a passenger. There's I talked about the mechanical grip and have a couple of times. Grass is much more slippery, shall we say? So they're essentially on an ice rink. Thankfully, the gravel caught him, and he'll be able to continue on without too much damage.
Yep. It looks like something just went wrong there. Had no grip. Oh, and he put the tire on the grass here. I'm taking a look on my own monitor. Yeah, Jason's been finding a lot of trouble today. Let's be honest here. Looks like the top 3 have sorted their way through traffic completely now. Top 4 even almost have sorted all their way through traffic in GT3. And then our top 4 or top 3 overall are going to be all within roughly a second of each other here. They all should owe us one more pit stop. I don't see a way any of these GTPs make without a splash if there isn't another yellow.
I think pretty much everyone's going to have to pit at least once more because we still have 65 coming up on 65 minutes left. Even the longest GT3 stint was 56 minutes. So at some point, everyone's going to have to come in. So that's going to be a big chess match.
I'm showing 45. I thought I had the math wrong there for a second.
Oh, that's correct.
45 minutes. Coming off a yellow a couple laps ago, I think it'll be tight with the GTs.
They can make it. The larger issue is going to be
there's no shot. There's no shot the GTPs make it. Yeah, just the GT3s.
And even so, even with that 10-12 minutes of caution, it'll be interesting to see who can make it running full rear. Well, of course, there's no fuel mapping to speak of, but who can be running all the way out and who's going to have to be doing some lift and coast and making fuel.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting here, this is essentially now the length of an IMSA sprint race in the iRacing official races. What I always do in the prototype is I'm looking at or having my spotter look at a track map to just try to start identifying gaps. If I'm going to pit, if I'm a GTP and I pit right now to make my splash to the end, let's say, if I could make it from here, I don't think they can, but you're going to end up coming out of the pits well within the GT3 traffic. I'm short pitting here no matter what. If I'm a GTP in maybe 10 minutes, I'm pitting to try to come out in clean air right ahead of those GT3 cars. That way, all of my competitors that don't short pit are going to have to come down pit or are going to have to come through the traffic at some point or like come right out of pit road. If there's a full course yellow and I have a full tank of gas and I don't need to box anymore, all of a sudden I'm filtering up to the front. Like, I can't imagine a world where I'm not short pitting here in the next 10 or so minutes as a GTP.
That's exactly what I would do. I want the fresh rubber and I want the fuel and be able to go to the end because you can time it out so that you don't have to be in there. I mean, using now a simulated pressurized fueler, of course, this is This is miles away from the old days of gravity-fed fueling rigs, where short pitting and being precise with your fueling just simply wasn't possible. So yeah, they can take advantage of that. I think that's an option for everyone. If you're a leader, you may want to do it just so you have the fresh rubber for defensive driving. If you're in the back or midfield, you may want to do that simply because getting off sequence, sometimes that helps. We still have the possibility of one more safety car, so we'll find out what happens.
Yeah, as we have a black flag for Ray Partridge. Looks like it's been cleared. Might have just been a quick slowdown. No, it's still active. So Ray Partridge in the 8 has a black flag in the blue and green Acura. Interested to see incident points, so that'll be a quick and fast drive through for him here, and smartly takes it at his earliest convenience in case we do get another yellow here, but that's going to really hurt his race. It'll be interesting to see how many of these drivers, and I see one more car coming down pit road. It looks like for service. Yeah, interesting. Wonder if there's some damage there we didn't see. He did have a few wave rounds, so he's definitely been in it. Checking on the point standings, I don't think we have an as they run option, unless I'm crazy. But if I were to take a peek at the current race we are in, our current standings we have right now, we got some side-by-side action, and that's my goodness, that is not great. That's Phil Otto, who was running, up in the top 10, getting taken out by did you see what Mercedes that was?
I did not. Definitely gave him
315.
Channeling a little Paul Tracy there.
Oh, the 340, probably Matt Town.
Yep, Matt Town.
I had to guess. Oh, 36 car.
So
that was Paul McKenzie. So that was for P6.
Wheel banging coming down the hill, as it were, and he just got the back end of it.
Yeah, I don't see a world where a penalty doesn't come out of that somehow.
Yeah.
Man. And Ray Partridge is off in the grass again. No need to look. He is back on track. No action there. Interestingly, Dan Stevens is now down 5 seconds to the leaders. The 911 lapped car has passed him. I am under the impression that Dan is of having no interest at trying to catch the guys in front and is trying to sit here behind someone and just save a little bit of fuel. Now, what's interesting is that 911 is another KSR car. I wonder if there's going to be any games played there. If the 911's, although if he's either A, Dan Stevens is deliberately behind him to try to pull up some slipstream, or if B, the 911 had some team orders to try to get in front of Dan to, slowly push him back here. I don't see that being the case. Most of the guys I know in majors aren't going to be playing any of those games. And seen Heath, not do those kind of things in the past. But we're looking at battles on track. If we go to P3, Cameron Dance, he is set the new fastest lap here the last time around and is making a lot of progress up ahead. Imagine if he would have had damage from that incident earlier, what we'd be looking at now.
He is presently only 7/10 back from second place. So yeah, definitely, if he can go purple consistently for a couple of laps, he could probably close that gap without too much effort.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it seems like he has no interest in a fuel save, which in that case, you're trying to, push as hard as you can to get a gap going.
Sure. The big thing about it is if he knows he has at least one more stop, and so the purpose of saving fuel is kind of defeated in the whole scheme of things, other than maybe he could short fill. But if he's got to stop one more time, I go ahead and I push and try and get up there, get that position, and maybe let the leader dictate. If I'm in P2, let the leader dictate when they come in, I come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the best way if you're not gonna undercut. It will be interesting though. I don't think I do wonder if any of these guys are going to be putting any tires on at all. You could see some interesting strategy though with the amount of time. They'll probably have enough time to put on a single axle of tires,
right?
Either the fronts or the rears. With the way iRacing will sort out the tire changes, as we have a GT3 just moseying on to the center of the track as Cameron's coming down. I feel like he is. I would not want to be in his cockpit today. Yeah, I would not want to be in his cockpit today. I would be seeing a lot of red. Whew, this is getting interesting. You can see that Ewan isn't pulling away like he was before. I don't know if that's a fuel number he's trying to hit, or if genuinely nobody else is pushing super hard. And once again, Cameron is finding a GT3 at the worst time on track as he dives under the 340. Luckily, he gave him room at the apex there. That could have been another disaster in the same corner.
But this is kind of what I was talking about earlier about the controlled aggression. It's pretty apparent that Cameron Danson, you said he's an aggressive driver already, but we are definitely seeing, I'm getting a little bit frame light there, cleared up. Okay. Definitely seeing the fact that he knows that it's time to go. It's time to go. He's got one more stop coming up. He wants to make the very best use of the time that he has presently. And he's just going to take it right up there to the Team Jinx Shifters car.
Well, like I'm saying earlier, when we're looking at this, they're fighting GT3s tooth and nail right now. Imagine if they did their splash already. You short pit, you do your splash, you can make it to the end from here. Instead of dealing with, it's already too late now, but instead of dealing with all this, like, you could be in and out of the pits sitting in clean air. 50% of the track right now is empty. There's no one there. Most of the cars on the track are between the carousel and turn one. You can see that Cam's having a lot more luck in traffic as well than Thomas ahead of him. He is right on his bumper here into turn one under braking, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with this Mustang, and they both seem to be getting around him, and Cameron is able to slide out to the left side of the track, get a perfect exit and entry and exit tier to turn two, and will chase down to his favorite corner where he keeps finding trouble. Now they are catching the KSR cars. The KSR Mustang ahead of him is, I would assume, Robert Northway in the 46. Yeah, so he's looking right up behind P5 in class. This is going to be a hard corner to break for Cameron with the change in elevation. Oh my God.
Really moving around there. The big thing you got to remember that they were lucky enough not to encounter a bunch of GT3 cars there, because that's the single file area right there for GT3.
Not for Cameron, apparently.
No, evidently not.
But absolutely, I agree with you. That is not where I'm passing a GT3 if I can avoid it.
I can just, I think about the aero wash coming across the front end. That could have been catastrophic if they had encountered something like that.
Absolutely. And speaking of traffic, Ewan has pulled out an extra 2.5 seconds on these guys, or an extra 2 seconds on these guys out of what seems like thin air. The way he's been able to weave around the traffic here as he gets past Dan Stevens, going into the final corner through the S's. This is a clinic by Ewan being able to piece together when he's getting through the traffic, where you're seeing Cameron and Thomas have to deal with it at the worst spots.
Yeah, and the other part is he's probably unaware of it being out by 2.5 seconds. But the more that these two back here in second and third are dicing it up, trying to race for position, the further that Ewan can extend and escape his lead away from them.
Absolutely. And now we're coming up on 33 minutes left here. I do think, based on the lap times, that if we were to swap really quick to we don't have to change camera. I'm free to stay here. But if we were to think about Dylan and Robert in the 21 and the 5, they have been swapping positions every couple laps here. to try to really extend this fuel. I've been keeping an eye on it on the side. Oh, it looks like Mike's switched over for us. They've been swapping positions as Ewan works his way through the final section of GT traffic here, and separates their grand plan. It's been very interesting to see these guys try to stretch this fuel. I've seen GT3s run an hour on gas. I'm curious if maybe with the gas saved under the yellow, how that's going to sort through.
Might be able to. But I think there's going to be a lot of fuel save that has to go on to do that. Even with the yellow.
Yeah, and they're pulling quite a bit as Cameron has another rough entry here with the GTs. Cameron is just probably cursing the sky, old man yelling at cloud right now when it comes to the GTs. Not that he's an old man. As it looks like the 5, I assume with this run, might try to make a move on the 21 at the end of the straightaway, swap spaces, save some gas, unless there is a team order to stay behind, because he had the run coming out of the exit.
He did.
Yeah, this is classic KSR. They got something up their sleeve. This makes me wonder if they plan on making it to the end of this race, at least the 5 car. I mean, that random number generator, couldn't have come at a better time. We got Gab in the chat.
Really worked out for him. Yeah, and
I said we got Gab in the chat. She is cheering for Ewan. So this is a good race for her to be attending, per usual. Ewan is definitely one of the stronger drivers here, but happy to have you. As the 5 does not overtake the 21, that is exactly what I'm talking about. It seems like it's intentional. But Gab, happy to have you here. Meatball for the 31, huh? Why?
Well, because he decided to ride it into the tire barrier. Yeah.
Okay, so he didn't have a meatball coming into the pits. He had a meatball from coming into the pits. Hilarious. Well, looks like KSR is going to keep the processional going. P3 in GT3 is looking at a 10-second gap. Dan has the pace to keep up with these guys. He's not. He is fuel saving. There is no other explanation here. I can't see a world where, what do you call it? I can't see a world where the 3 car is not fuel saving here to try to make it happen. And I'm seeing a 10-second gap. Am I crazy there? The track map seems to disagree with me. Oh, I'm mixing up yellow and blue. That's on me.
Okay.
So it'd be the 13th, 14th, or 12th, 13th, and 14th overall. So 12th and 13th overall coming into turn 1 here. If you look on the track map, you can see the 13 on top. The gap is about a half of straightaway to the 14th place car, which is Dan Stevens in the 3 car. If we look at best laps of the race, Dan's had maybe 5/10 off of the leaders in the best of conditions, but the last few laps he's been dropping 2 or 3 tenths every lap. Well, these guys have been pushing to try to get a gap going. With the pit road delta being, I think, 22 seconds at pit road speed, I genuinely think Dan is going to try and it has no option to stretch it at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that because, even if he's trying to just hit a fuel number. I'm sorry, what was that?
I think he's trying to get the GT pit strategy up.
It happens. We were just talking about you and Victor driving away, and it looks like I just saw the fact that he was off, so hopefully he's not having a problem.
Oh, man. Yeah, Ewan did have an off. Looks fine to me. He's coming down the front straight. Thanks, Gab. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Happy to do it.
Cameron Dance
Another-
now up. These guys must be really, really pushing at this point, knowing that they've got to stop one more time. They're trying to put in some flyers.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. If Cam Dance keeps going off, he's going to run out of incident points here pretty quick.
Yeah.
I can't see a world where he has more than a few left. Let's see. Really undershot the water from IT here, so let's see what we're working with. We got 27 minutes. We'll make it work. Man, all to say, I got church in the morning.
So one of the things that I think is important is that right now it's really, really imperative that a lot of these drivers, particularly if they're not racing for position, stay on the racing line. We're a couple hours in, a lot of rubber is built up on the racing line, but if you get offline, which may be what's going on, that we saw our first place and our third place cars go off. There's a lot of the marbles out there. There's debris that's been kicked up when cars go off, like that, which you just saw, even tracking a little dirt on there. That all gets onto the tire surface and decreases the amount of grip that a person has. And I think that could very well be, well, you can see some of the debris coming off of Cameron Dance's car there just a moment ago. So I said it at the beginning of the broadcast, and I think it's worth repeating. This is a track that rewards consistency, and if you are not hitting your marks, you're going to find yourself in trouble in this late stage of the race.
Yeah, and speaking of consistency, Ewan just dropped the fastest lap of the race with 26 minutes left. So to double down on your point, are they pushing or fuel saving in the GTP? I think it's now quite clear that everyone is on full push. Ewan just put in a 150.18. That is mighty fast around Road America.
Yes, it is.
Who did? Oh wow, Thomas Hintz has also put down his fastest personal lap last time around. Yeah, everyone's running light. The 21 is not fuel saving. As he puts his fastest lap in at 2:03.7, and Dan Stevens put in a 2:04.6 once again. So I think he is on the biggest lift and coast strategy we could think of. I'm gonna personally ride along with Dan and try to listen for his inputs, as he's overtaken the 911 that he's been following for a bit. I'm curious. I'm gonna see where he's lifting here. As early lift into the corner. Dan is on a thick fuel save strategy. He's rolling through corners.
Watching his LED indicator for his shifting at the top as well, and it's pretty clear that he's controlling his shifting for short shifting
quite a bit. Yeah, Hins has put down the fastest lap overall.
150.07.
Yeah, those GTPs are going to have a fun little splash. It's all going to be about the entry to pit road that'll probably decide this race. I mean, I guess Dan's waving at us. He must know he's on camera.
One of the things that we can see here with Stevens is that his inputs are very smooth, very precise. Well, I say that, and then he has a bobble.
Yeah,
but it seems like the car has really come to him. And anytime you see a driver that's able to do it smooth, particularly when they're in fuel saving mode, that means there's no wasted.
There goes Matt.
That? Yep. There's no wasted motion, which is very important for fuel saving as well, because it means that you're not having to feather the throttle, you're not having to feather the brake, anything that might cause a loss of momentum. You start relying on the car's weight to do a lot of the work.
Absolutely. Yep, Dylan is pushing. We're dropping 203s back to back here. Still a 12-second delta from Dan to Dylan from P1 to P3 in GT3. Very interesting how even though he's dropping fastest laps, he's not pulling away enough to even make up the pit road delta. If I was a betting man, it's all on the number 3 car for Dan for GT3. I don't think anyone in GTP is fuel saving. I just went and did a quick run through his I was gonna say perfect timing. If we get on with Thomas or Dan or Cameron, I mean, as they're dealing with quite a bit of traffic once again. And Ewan, actually, if you're looking for a good in-car here to our overall leader, he is going to drop through a thick little gaggle of cars up ahead once you have a chance. Yeah, there we go. He is looking at a big group of GT3s here to try to work his way around as he waits and has a huge lift there when he wasn't sure if the GT was going to slide back across the track or not. And that's the thing, the timing, as much as we want these guys to hold their line, if they hold their line too well, you don't even realize it's happening. As he has to try to make the move here on the kink to maintain this lead. That whole lift, just so we know, we're all talking about high percentage, low percentage moves. That cost him, now that we're at the end of the straight, between those cars, 0.8 of a second. That is a third of his lead that he lost purely from just a little move from a GT3, as he has to take a compromise line here into the corner. His gap has gone from 3.1 seconds down to 2.1 seconds this lap. And that's to no fault of his own. That is purely just the way the traffic gave and took away from him. We've seen Cameron have to deal with the traffic like crazy lately. And now we're seeing our overall leader having to deal with it. So this is slowly becoming a nail biter again. As much as Ewan has the pace, he's just catching him at the wrong time. Quite a bit.
I think that one of the things that's important to note here is, the traffic and the class dynamics, that really, we just saw the fine example of that, of losing 0.8. And one of the things that, we have to remember that here at Road America, so much of, I think about turn 5, you come down into it, and then as you head, turn 4, so you head up the hill towards turn 5. Turn 5 winds up being a blind corner. Same thing with the kink. You can't really see around it. So a lot of that, if you're not anticipating, it's when you really have to rely on your spotter. Some of these corners are treacherous at best when you're in clean air. And so if you're coming up on an arrow wash anywhere, 0.8 that's a huge penalty for coming up on traffic that didn't work in your favor. The other thing I think about is, of course, we're not seeing it now, but had we seen rain or anything like that, how that would have played into any kind of difficulty that your prototypes are going to be dealing with as they come up on things, because the closing rate doesn't get any better, car control does.
Yep, absolutely. There's the best way to put it here. Is Robert Henry with another off track here as he's following around Jordan.
Whoa.
Oh my God, they are not making this easy on Ewan. What time is it in Scotland right now? That was an incredible move as Cameron goes off track as well. That's, that was something. That the Ewan's race almost ended right there on the front straight, which isn't a place where you expect things to go wrong. He's turned off the hybrid. He's really fuel saving now. Yeah. In my own sim, I do, yes.
Yeah, I've not run it through the sim,
It's
so I
well.
don't.
No, I don't. Actually, that's hilarious. I do not. I have zero sound for him. Yeah, that should be loud. Yeah, P2. I'm hearing Thomas from a Cadillac. So weird. Yeah, you and your speaker's broken, buddy. That's funny. Yeah, I hear nothing. I hope that's not indicative of any sort of connection issues. Might have to have Gab turn off the stream at home. Yeah, I got no sound. That's super weird. I don't think I've ever seen that sound glitch before. Checking back in, the gap to the leaders. Or the lead gap is now down to 1.9. Yeah, 1.8, 1.9 after that situation on the front straight. All top three cars here are within 3.5 seconds of each other. That is the glory of a full course yellow. It'll do that. Now we have our first takers is P4 in GTP. Hayden Kirk has come down pit road. He must be thinking this is the time to do it. Looking at the track map on my end, as you guys can see here, we see the fourth place car coming in. He is coming to his box in 3, 2, 1, stopping. And now look where he's going to come out. He's now P5 on the map. You see that huge empty gap on the track? When he comes out, he's going to have no traffic to deal with besides maybe this 25th place GT3. He's going to be able to slot right out on track. No traffic to think about. These GTs might not be pitting. That might play in his favor on working his way up the order here. I don't think it'll be enough to get into P1, 2, and 3 here, as we're taking another peek at Adam Johnson, who we spent quite a bit of time with, as he's going on the outside of the GT3 leaders. Oh boy,
that's catastrophic for his race.
Yeah, but not just his race.
Yeah,
could be a problem for the 5.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm watching the replay from the in-car of the 5. I mean, I don't think... Oof, that's a tough call. We can hear you in Scar again. Interesting situation. If we do an in-car on that incident with the, if you're able to, with the 5 car of Robert Henry rear-ending Adam Johnson, the in-car from the 5 on lap 63 for the 5 car. This is it. So Adam had a huge jump, but watch the acceleration time. The 29 just doesn't go because he's blocked by the 21. And Robert pretends like he's not there and drives through him, in my opinion. I've watched it 3 times now. Obviously, we just had one view there. Maybe we get an outside view and a second thought from Austin here. But in my opinion, he drove right through him.
Yeah, I just watched.
I mean, it also the 5's bumper is off of his car. It popped off and popped back on, as iRacing tends to do. But yeah, look at the 5 car. So the 21 has to lift. He has nowhere to go.
Right.
And it's your responsibility to not run through somebody. In my opinion, and I'm not race control, that 5 car just earned himself a drive-through, if not a stop and go.
Yep, I agree. The largest issue there being that again, we're getting on to the end of the race, and we're going to see more people try and dive bombs like that. But his line was middling to fair to begin with, and so the car in the rear just no real chance to attenuate to it, and that's what happens.
Yep, that's a tough one. That should have never happened, in my opinion. That's a poor look. And and not the standards we try to keep up in majors. Well, let's talk too bad, because I'm sure I'll get a nice Discord message later if I keep that up.
You and Baker's interval is over Hins is now down to just about half a second. So if I'm Hins, and even if I'm Dance, I pit when you and Baker does.
I'm gonna say Cameron Dance just came down pit road. He is now exiting pit road. He is now just exited turn 1. So let's keep an eye on the front battle here for first and second. Also, the 5 car has boxed. Robert Henry, that was involved in an incident, has come down pit road and exited. I'm assuming for a fast repair for some sort of damage, because I saw the penalties flow in the chat.
Showing black flag for Adam Johnson.
Oh, really? Is that probably for incidents? Yeah, it's probably for incidents from that contact. So if I'm taking a peek, I don't know. Maybe oh yeah. All right. So Robert Henry had driven through pit road. No stop. Which puts Dan Steven in the catbird seat in second with the best fuel right now. He's got a 15-second gap to Dylan. And Dylan has no way to save gas with his buddy anymore. But yeah, this battle for P1 is heating up. Thomas and Ewan are neck and neck. I mean, in the last few laps, they have been 3 1,000ths of a second off of each other in terms of pace. This is genuinely quite a battle. I am excited to see how this shakes out and when they time their pit stops on each other.
The cool thing about this P1, P2 battle is the fact that they're in clean air. So it's competitive without traffic, which I think says a lot about how this may actually shake down when they come in for a splash.
Yeah.
Because if they blend back out with a bunch of GT3 traffic, it's anyone's guess. But if they were to stay like this, I don't know. It's Hins was cutting down almost a tenth a lap for a while.
And now he's in the dirty air.
Yeah, it seems to have stabilized a little bit because of the aero wash, like you were saying.
Now, what's interesting is we were talking about timing your pit stop where the traffic is.
Through the kink.
I kept an eye on Cameron this whole cycle. He spent the last 2 laps in traffic, his out lap and on, like this last lap and a half, just stuck in GT3 traffic. His gap has gone from what was 43 on the exit of pit road to almost 47 seconds. He's lost 4 seconds on this lead group just in traffic. Purely. Oh boy, that's gonna cost him. I'm pitting right now. If I'm Thomas, I'm pitting.
Yep, there you go.
Oh no! Change his mind. See, I'm thinking I lost my speed coming down the run, down the big straight. That's the time to pit, in my opinion. But I think he might have just been worried about being able to slow up or make a clean entry. Stewart in P9 has pit, and in P10 we see Adam Johnson pitting again. I'm assuming that's to clear a penalty of some kind. That is the longest, slowest drive through that we're going to see today. Down to 9. Yep. So he had a drive through for incidents from iRacing. He's going to have another drive through from race control. Yep, that's a fair call. I can't see a world where that isn't on the 5. I mean, there's a car in front of you. You can't just press the gas pedal.
Oh, I don't know. Hins may have made the right call here, because look at his interval again. When we ran up on some traffic, he's back down to 3/10.
Well, and as the commentator's curse goes, he's down to 5/10. Or oh wow, actually had a decent exit there and caught the slipstream. So yeah, right back down to 3/10. As we see Robert's black flag on screen, that one is from race control for contact with the 29. Now this is peak multi-class racing with the 99 Porsche being part of this battle. It's part of the track at this point. We have chicanes everywhere. as Robert and Adam are going off on each other on the chat. I'm glad we cannot hear that. I'm just seeing their names pop up. As pit road is now open for the splash. So this entry, you can see that a bit of the gap too was made up by Thomas. I am gonna follow around Cameron if you want to stay on these two guys. As he had a 47-second gap to these guys. We're gonna see how this shakes out at the end of pit road. It's going to be down to the fuel calculations. Some of these guys do, some of these guys don't have a crew chief working for them. Cameron is in Canadian corner right now, about to come through the S's. So both these guys are in their box now.
Yeah, I see it. Here's the end of the last sector, or beginning of the start of the last sector. Well, these guys pretty even on the way out of the
exiting the pits. Yeah, that's I mean, you can see pitting at the wrong time cost Cameron well over 7.5 seconds.
Yeah, it cost.
Yeah. Cost him 7.5 seconds.
Yeah, is within 9 seconds now, right around 9 seconds back.
Yeah, great view by pulling everybody off the map there. That really showed how big the gap has become. Guys, Thomas took the lead on exiting pit road.
Yes, he did.
That is something that completely went over our heads while we were trying to keep up with what's happening for third place.
The other part of it is
this is fine. We'll see what happens here. Yeah. Oh, right through him. Right through him on the exit.
I just hope
classic iRacing.
Hope he didn't get a pit lane speeding ticket there, because that would. Didn't he? Okay, good deal. And has jumped out to about a 6/10 lead, which now 7/10. So he's driving like he got thrown out of a cannon.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we're down to oof. As we see a battle for P whatever this is, 18. Dan Stevens down 15 seconds. Car behind him will be down by another 3.6 for P2 and 3 in GT3. I'm still expecting Dylan to have a stop in the last couple laps. He's still pushing really hard, although his last couple laps, he's running 205. So maybe he's started to think maybe he can make it on gas. Not quite sure. We got a new black flag for Michael Hogg in the 744. Relatively insignificant to the overall race. He's one of the back markers today. Man, we're getting towards the end. 5 minutes. Let's see. We're running 2-minute laps. It'll be interesting to see if this is going to be 2 or 3 laps left at the end of this lap here. Based on time.
His interval over Ewan Baker is now up above 1 second. It's pretty clear that he's got the superior car, and as long as he took enough fuel, this is his race to lose at present.
Yeah, and as long as the traffic works out in his favor, as you're going to see, this is probably going to cost Ewan a little bit more time behind this Acura on the exit, as the Acura quite politely moves over to the left on the exit as much as possible, so Ewan can take his preferred line. Yeah, just keeping it within a second for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but it looks like Thomas might have this in the bag.
Yeah, I don't see Ewan sandbagging at this point. This would be the wrong time to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Still no pit stops from our GT3 leaders. So, we do have a lot of GT3s coming down pit road. So they are the ones that didn't top off. Yeah, the ones that have not topped off are taking the opportunity. Still keep an eye on, though, the 21 and the 3 to see how that shakes out here. I'm going to pop on to Dylan here. I'll keep an eye on Dylan on my end here, and shout out if he does make a stop here. But we got Dan hoping and praying that in the next lap or two, Dylan is out of fuel. Otherwise, it's going to be his whole chance here. Now, if we take a peek at the track map, you'll see that P1 is not going to catch like overall P1 is not going to catch the GT3 leaders, which means they're going to have an extra lap. They're not going to lose a lap like you do sometimes in multi-class racing.
Sure.
It's going to be, I think, 1 to go for the GTP leaders when they cross the line, depending on what the exact timestamp is.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Baker, you just got black flagged.
Incidents for you and Baker. Oh no, it's probably for incidents too.
Phil Otto with a black flag.
No. The drama has started.
Preventable mistakes. What happened here?
Oh, and that was not great. That was a GT3 parking it on the apex. Yeah.
That arrow wash, or did he just stick it in too far?
Just ran into him on the apex. I think he was hoping the GT3 was going to cut him a break like he did to Thomas, and the GT3 just
didn't.
No fault. Yeah, no fault to the GT3 there. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. He'll have to do his drive-through penalty here, and who knows what'll happen post-race. So that battle sorted itself out. As I believe, am I seeing white flag? Or no white flag?
Yep, white flag.
White flag. Okay. I was going to say, I feel like Thomas crossed the line right at like 149. So he'll have the white flag, which means everyone following behind will have a white flag as well.
Overcooking it and then locking up.
Now I am looking at Dylan. He might luck out here based on that timing of that white flag, where he's not going to have to stop. He is not going full pace anymore. He's dropping 205s, saving. I'm looking at Dylan now coming out of the final corner, and he is not touching pit road. So if Dylan doesn't have the gas, he's not going to make it. So we'll keep an eye out on what's going to happen there. But Ewan Baker is going to drop out of the podium positions here as well with his drive-through, and I'm wondering if he'll get a second drive-through as well. And although he won't be able to serve the second drive-through if he does get one. As Thomas comes around, jumping into Canadian corner, through the S's here, with one more corner to go. As long as he has the fuel in the tank, he should be taking the win.
They'll head up the hill towards the checkered flag. Cameron Dance is 14 seconds back, so it'll be just a moment before he comes across the checkers.
All right. Man, what? Whew. That was not how I expected it to end, guys. If you would have asked me if Ewan had it in the bag and 20 minutes ago, I would have said it's a guaranteed win. But for the podium, we'll see Thomas, Cameron, and then Matthew Pluck sneaking into the podium positions here as soon as he crosses the line. Now we turn our attention to the GT3 battle. We're riding behind Dylan, who has made the magic happen with the fuel. Dan Stevens is, in traffic, riding along, hoping, praying that Dylan doesn't make it up the hill at this point. But I mean, Dylan's made this tank last almost an hour. Genuinely incredible work keeping track of his fuel number, if this pans out.
Well, even if it didn't, that's an impressive run on his fuel number, and being able to not just make that fuel number, but also to extend an escape by 13, 14 seconds. That's really making the car work for you. And, nothing but congratulations to him for doing it, because that's an impressive run.
Yeah, that was incredible. And I don't think he's lifting. I am thinking he is out of gas. He had a sputter or two just now. So, I mean, that is a stretch of the fuel here. Man, what a race, guys. That
Absolutely. Fantastic.
is one of the better ones I've seen here. Just exhausted, you know? That took a lot out of me. Gab, as you're one of the most active in the chat, I'll shout you out and say sorry about Ewan. That was no fun. Not a great way to end that for him, but looks like he dropped after leading most of the race to P6 in the end, and we'll see if there's a post-race penalty too for the contact, but no harm, no foul on the GT. I think just cost himself. I think the punishment took place on track, that is. As we go through the Road America round of the Major Series International, we'll have Thomas, Cameron, and Matt running out the top three. Our, expected winner in Ewan had some late race drama that dropped him down to 6th place here. But genuinely a good group overall. Team Jinx is taking the win, though, with Cameron in 2nd place. As we move over to the full race results here in GT3, we'll have Dylan Jordan and Dan Stevens in the top 2, and Robert Northway with a surprise podium after the number 5 car of Robert Henry drops to P6 with his drive-through penalty for the contact with Adam Johnson there with a few minutes left. So we are seeing a KSR win, although it wasn't the KSR 1-2 that we expected from most of the race. Dylan did make the miracle happen. Came to the overall fuel number. We are going to go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm going to say we are going to work our way into our post-race interviews. I see him starting to slot in here.
Excellent.
We got Thomas in. I think it's only fair that we keep this broadcast going and get Thomas in the room, as he is the overall winner here as we wait on the sorting out the rest. That is not what I saw. As we pull it back for the graphic here to have Thomas as our winner. That's fine. Let's sneak Thomas in here while you sort out the graphic here. With everybody dropping the session, it's probably adjusting the graphics a bit. And we can always talk through it if you want to put up the final standings instead. I'll be bringing Thomas in here for the interview here momentarily. Thomas, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on the crazy win there.
Oh, yep. I forgot I was on push to talk. Yes. Yeah. Thanks for that. Thank you. It was a pretty exciting finish to that race, sure.
Yeah, I mean, that had to have been stressful. We were sitting here watching, wondering if it was going to be you or Ewan. And yeah, I mean, obviously tough to keep up with while you're driving, and with a drive-through penalty after that incident with that GT. I mean, you snuck through on that Mustang right before it became a problem.
Yeah. I was obviously in those last minutes. Obviously, it's the end of the race, so you sort of up the aggression a little bit. I tend to be probably a little on the conservative side with lapping traffic usually, just because it's better to be safe than to do a half percentage move and be taken out. So normally I'm like that, but towards the end you do kind of up the aggression a little bit just to try to keep the pace up when it's in those dying moments, and was doing that. And yeah, in the end the key was the pit stop. I gambled on the race going one lap less than what my caps was telling me, because obviously we'd lose time in the pits. And yeah, it just if that was probably another if I was at the line probably 10 or 20 seconds sooner, there would have been another lap and I've had to pit. So it was a risk, but I was like, I wanted to get the win, and in the end that was the key, because I think if I took the extra lap, probably you would have just got me out of the lane and it may not have been able to get it. So yeah, it was definitely rewarding to just sneak it.
Yeah, always easier to make a pass when you are in the when you're in the pits than on the track at the end of the day. Well, what was your highlight of the race? Obviously, we saw the last 5 minutes, but was there anything earlier in this race that you would reference that you would say made the biggest difference for you?
I mean, in the end, the safety car kind of nullified. I was doing better laps in terms of fuel mileage than pretty much everyone. So that was cool. The safety car kind of nullified that a little bit, but it was still good to, I was going, I think, about 2 laps longer than Ewan and a lap longer than Cam and Matt in the first stint, which was cool because I was still doing similar pace, but going longer on fuel. So that was really nice. I've usually been good on fuel. I think it's just the way I drive. I tend to just use less than most others. So, but it is always nice to see that, and it does help give you more flexibility as well.
For sure. And then any shout outs for anybody watching today you might want to recognize? Sponsors, friends, family?
Yeah, I wrote this down on a notepad, just the 2. There's the only 2 that Dan said for me that I should mention, and I still wrote it down just to be safe because my short-term memory is disgusting. So, but obviously, exactly, yeah, it's like, yeah, brain just goes, nothing's staying in, sorry. So Middle Finger Racing, obviously, big thanks to them, Dan and all the guys. Huge thanks to them for having me on for the season. It's awesome having the support of them, and they're just an awesome bunch of guys to race with. So huge thanks to them. Obviously, Polaris and Mad As Designs as well, and Henry James Racing as well. The usual guys I race with outside of here. And yeah, big thanks obviously to Majors for putting on the races as usual. Always a great time, always a lot of fun. And big thanks to you guys for the broadcast as well.
Absolutely. I hope you have some fun watching it back. The last 10 minutes would be quite an event.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll make sure to get the popcorn.
Yeah, absolutely. Austin, is there anything you want to add? I don't want to overshadow you. You're at the end of the broadcast.
No, that's okay. Great to hear from you, Thomas.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And now it looks like our GT3 winner is not in the interview waiting room at the moment. So maybe we move to Dan and Robert together for P2 and P3 out of the GT3s.
That works for me.
Okay. Robert and Dan, welcome to the booth. Podium finish for both of you. Wild race with the 5 getting that late penalty for contact that you all can go view later. But excited to hear from you both and kind of what your race strategy was here. I'll start with Dan and P2 because we followed you quite a bit during the race. With the multiple pit stops there at the end of that safety car. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, well, right off the bat, the Corvette would have been the first car to pit anyway, because I could only do 1 less and sometimes 2 laps less than all the other guys. So pretty much I had to pit multiple times under that safety car to gain back the advantage or gain back the fuel that I needed, and also like fuel save all those laps. So I was quite happy that the safety car laps got extended more and more and more, because that just helped me out more and more and more. So in the end, it worked out. I got home with probably 1 lap spare of fuel.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at it and we were thinking that we saw no way Dylan was going to make it on gas because he stayed out quite a bit more than you did at the end there. We thought he was for sure going to be a lap short or 2 laps short, especially if that race got extended 1 more lap. But the timing with the overall leaders was 15-second gap or whatever on the race pace to shorten the race a bit for y'all. Highlight of your race, P2, obviously respectful finish. You had a little help there with the 5 with the penalty, but what's the big highlight of your race here?
Just getting it at home. Actually, like I had nothing for Dylan and Robert. Those guys were quick. I stayed with them for the first 6 or 7 or so laps. But yeah, then the traffic got involved, and then those guys just took off. But yeah, the highlight would be just getting the podium. I'm quite chuffed with that.
Yeah, you should be. And then any shout outs here? Obviously, the second Middle Finger Racing driver in a row we're interviewing here. Any shout outs, besides the usuals?
Yeah, just the guys in the MFR team. A good bunch of guys, plus Thomas as well, who's joined us for this season. Polaris Off-Road and Jinx Shifters, and Mad As Designs.
Awesome. Well, hey, Dan, great talking to you. We're going to slide over to Robert, and then it looks like probably wrap up the broadcast. Looks like Dylan's foregoing his interview for the end. So, Robert, congratulations on what had to have been a bit of a surprise podium.
Oh, it was in those dying stages after I tried to throw it away on lap 1. But still impressed. No one collected me. I just sat there waiting for the impact, and suddenly everyone's by, and I'm like, okay, I can drive off.
Exactly. No, that's awesome. And, we followed you quite a bit during the race, too. You just had a lot of highlights in traffic is the only way I can say I can put it. You had a lot of GTPs taking some surprising moves on you. A lot of slower traffic around you, it seemed like. But you still made it happen, obviously, at the expense of Robert Henry in the 5 with his post-race penalty. But you're racing with the KSR guys, obviously, in the international splits here. One of the most popular teams. Y'all fill the grid. Any shout outs here? Any other highlights of your race that we might have missed?
It was very interesting with the GTPs. There's a couple I definitely said a few words I can't say here towards. I did have damage in that first stint. I had to use my fast repair. That was costing me about 1.5 seconds a lap. So that made it all very interesting. But yeah, it was an interesting race. So as for shout outs, obviously the KSR team, our sponsors, Speed Nation, Paul McKenzie Tiling, Inspire Net.
There we go. Oh, cool, man. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate you giving us a chance to broadcast y'all. And we'll keep an eye on the point standings. Obviously, the P1 and P3 is going to help KSR quite a bit here in the standings overall. So, good luck the rest of the season. If I don't speak to you, and unless we have anyone else sneaking in for interviews, I think that is going to wrap it up here. Cool.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Look forward to. I've got another stint at 10 o'clock, so just about 6 hours and 43 minutes from now.
And I got a 1.5 hour nap before I got to get up with the kids. So,
right on.
Appreciate you all. Appreciate you, Mike. Always, you are one of my favorite producers to work with here. You always make it fun and engaging, and deal with the limitations of technology the best we can. Absolutely, I will. Appreciate you all. Austin, nice working with you today. Everyone that watched and listened, this was fun. I look forward to late summer and picking this back up as we get into the winter. But it's been fun, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take care,
ladies and
everyone.
gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this round 7 of the international regional series for the Major Series right here on the Major Series Network. Live here at 12 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern. We will be back for the Euro and the Americas regional races. So if you guys like what you see right now, you guys come on back and tune in for the next 2 rounds to come. Fire it off today. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you do in life, have fun doing it. Until next time, you have yourself a beautiful time zone.
He's opening the door right there. With a head of steam moving to the outside his chin. Richie says it can't be done. Tony Shallen says turn on the reggae music. If you're gonna pass me, you're gonna do it high.
There is just one more lap remaining, and look how close Modoff is. He got the slipstream.
There we go. 2 laps to settle it in the Blue Emu Firecracker 400. Whatever you got to give it now. Back to green we go.
On the final lap, side by side, they still run wheel to wheel. Now, through the snake, the S as we go. Quaro edges ahead. Modoff is still there.
White flag, one more to go on the Daytona 250. Kepler leads that lap. Who's going to lead the last one?
To the line, look at that. Dave Chapman, he's going to send it around the outside final corner. Has he got it done?
Continuing to go side by side for the lead through 3 and 4, and they manage it safely. Now through 5.
And hunting for a way by
Side
it
by
all.
side.
Round 2 between Phil Sell and Rico.
To the outside. White flag is out, side by side. They make contact in the turn number 1. Ooh, gets onto the grass. Now down to the inside. Andy T, a little bit of a wiggle and the perfect crossover there from Polly Parson to defend the position. Andy T totally sideways. They're still sideways going into Siberia.
And getting ready to cross, he goes around the outside, but it's not enough.
Eden's up the racetrack. Car broke down the track. A photo finish. James Eden wins it. It's still 4 abreast into the braking zone. This is sensational racing. And here comes Bowden. It's going to be a drag race to the end. Then side by side. Who gets it?
Williams tries to cover him off, but once again, pulling the over-under. Daniel Morad is going to win with a last quarter pass.
Newsom's coming up right there. By the corner. It's going to be pinned.
There's nothing. Oliver is going to come back at him. It's going to be a race to the line. Does he have enough? Down to it.
And a wrecking in 3. Here comes Michael Cozy Jr. Michael Cozy Jr.'s got the lead.
He looks to the inside, side by side for the race lead.